Holly should be here any minute now, and so I figured I'd spool this up while we waited on her to show up. She was in at the Capitol today doing fun Capitol stuff, touring around with our two representatives. That would be Bridget Belinder and Nicolene Peck. But so, I don't know if there's much housekeeping to catch on to. Did have our current senator here in Tooele, Emily Buss, scheduled, but she had to reschedule, so that'll be in the works. But we do have a challenger of hers for this upcoming election, Mackenzie Miller, showing up at about 7:30, and he will jump on then. So we look forward to chatting with him, finding out, what makes him tick. But so tonight, couple of subjects we want to talk about. We want to talk about the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. I know Holly's kind of spooled up on that. I know very little about it, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to learn about it. It's kind of a national story. Super well-known individual's mother. It looks like there's some kind of abduction situation and a whole bunch of craziness around that. Trevor Lee put forward a bill to make it so that ivermectin didn't need a prescription to be drawn in the state of Utah. I haven't tried getting it, but what I have heard is concerning, and so we'll cover that and talk about that, and then some airspace shutdown went on down there by Amarillo or El Paso, Texas. So we're going to find out a little more about that. Holly has shown up. She's just got to put down her 85-pound bag. Look at that beast. And yeah, we're going to also look into that. I guess that's something I just heard about. Holly has quite a bit more information than me on that. And she'll definitely be able to give us a little more. But anyways, yeah, that sounds like tonight's fun show. Holly, how you doing?
Good. I didn't know that you went on live, and you turned me on to a YouTube that's got my
seriously, right? No, I did get the book, and I will read into it further. And then I also would like to. I don't fact checked is probably the appropriate word, but fact check what he says. Slide over this way, like what he says about the Mexican president Scheinbaum in there. That has me extremely concerned.
His name's Peter Schweizer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Phenomenal. Hi, guys. I'm sorry I'm late. I came right from the Capitol to be here, and that was awesome. So my thanks go out to Bridget Bolinder and Nicolene Peck. Their representation up there has been great today, and they're just doing a lot of work. We've got
grinding.
They are grinding. Our whole legislature is up there. It's just like a well-oiled machine. It's just one meeting to the next meeting to the next meeting. And I'm just really proud of our representatives.
How did they, man? Oh, I think only crazy people would sign up for that gig. But Holly, how are you?
Great. You know what? With Prop 4, repealing Prop 4, I have to thank all of you that came out and met with me and we are right down to the deadline. And I will be.
Why don't you ever bring one of them books over here?
I have one.
Okay.
I will be at the Tooele Chamber of Commerce on Main Street tomorrow at 6:30. Thankfully, I get to be inside. The county party is doing a private event. I won't be bothering them at all. But if you want to come stop by and sign, I would love to have you. If you don't agree with this and you think it's totally crap, don't come. We don't want any debates, any problems. We only want people who are interested in signing and who have researched what we are doing and repealing. And if you'd like to sign, you need only be a registered voter. We accept Democrats, independents. I've seen all, and Republicans. Anybody that's registered to vote is welcome to sign. And it takes just a couple of seconds, really. And you would be most welcome. So we'd appreciate it. Tomorrow night at 6:30 at the Tooele Chamber of Commerce. And, I might be outside the building or inside. It just depends. We don't want to, we've had a lot of people that have been pretty nasty, and we're not trying to rally people or rock the vote. This is merely a petition to get it on the ballot. And right now, 6,000 people, a little over 6,000 people have voted for Prop 4.
Are you telling me the Democrats don't want democracy?
No, and they solve gerrymandering by gerrymandering. And a little over 6,000 people voted for Prop 4. That should make all of us sick, because 6,000 people are determining the fate of 3 million. So if you're not registered to vote, please register. These are things that will turn our state blue if left unchecked. And if you want our state to be blue, that's great. Keep fighting. Just remember, a precedent like this can be used against you if allowed to continue. And that means if we're letting judges legislate from the bench, which is not their job, and we can leave them without you and I, our voice, our decisions, our values, we can't fire them. If you don't agree with your legislator, you fire them at the ballot box. Takes you registering to vote, for one. And for two, get to know the issues and get to know the principles behind these folks and why they're doing what they're doing. And look into Prop 4 and look into who sued the state. Follow the money, folks. Follow where the map came from. It didn't come from our independent committee, and it didn't come from our legislature. It came from an outside source, outside money, and a judge made the decision to uphold it. Actually, the judge made the decision to choose a map they presented. So whether you agree or disagree, we should at least give it to the people to vote on, and hopefully more people will vote this next go round. Because 6,000 people deciding for 3 million is insane. Giving a 25% of our voice, 25% of our voice to a party that is registered at 13% in this state is insane, folks. And lumping us in with Salt Lake City or other cities that don't face the same issues we do, with us being a rural community, we care about water, we care about slow, smart development, we care about energy. These are things we are facing every single day. And Salt Lake City has already faced them. They're already through it. And they're calling us a bedroom community of Salt Lake.
Yes, they are.
I disagree. People move out here to avoid the politics and the issues of Salt Lake City. They move out here for a change, and we don't want to turn Tooele County into Salt Lake. I don't, and that's why I'm running for office for District 29. I am not going to sit idly by and watch our rural community turn into Salt Lake City. We had an ICE protest this last week.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's all done. Anyhow, so on to the stuff. So this I haven't followed it very much, and I really should because it's a big deal. I mean, some elderly lady that sounds like the family does have wealth. Was
Well, Samantha Guthrie is very rich. I mean,
yeah,
she's
well, and her mom apparently has wealth as well. She didn't crawl out of the gutters to get there, but an elderly lady, from what I know, gets abducted. There's been some ransom note stuff. There's been questioning on the Nancy's son-in-law, Samantha's brother-in-law. The house that she's in is huge.
the brother-in-law and sister were the last to see her.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be just a random targeting where they go into, where somebody goes into, just take someone. They are down kind of close to the border, and there has been instances of people being taken in Mexico. A
17-year-old girl was taken before Nancy.
I don't know if there's a lot of across the border kidnappings for ransom. Haven't looked into that, but we do know that happens in Mexico. It's not like an everyday event, but we do know it does happen down there. Anywhere where you get where you have like a kind of a fallen government who doesn't have control and or
corruption,
is a part of the criminal machinations. I mean, I don't want to say that Scheinbaum is the cartel president, but I'll let the Mexicans say that because that's what the Mexicans call her, is the cartel president. So I don't know.
She's definitely into something sketchy.
Well, how many presidential? They had something like 3 presidential candidates murdered in their last election. She's the one that made it through, that didn't get killed.
Right.
And they had lots of people running for mayor and for their representative, national and local, like county representative.
That podcast said
34 people murdered.
But that podcast said that many of the people who sit in the government of Mexico live here in the United States.
I would.
Like, what?
Seriously, I'd zoom in.
And their whole goal is to reform the boundaries of Mexico and America.
Yeah, they want to. Well, let's face it, Mexico's a failed state. They went into civil war in the 1830s, 1850s, somewhere in there, and they've never quite healed from that. And then maybe it has something to do with their border being so close to ours, and then also their government's weird. Again, if you were colonized by the Iberian Peninsula, you're screwed because you didn't learn to stand on your own 2 feet. I mean, the biggest example, and I shouldn't say the Iberian Peninsula, if you were colonized by the Brits, you're in a good place. If you were colonized by the French, a little better, but still a rough place. The Italians, a touch better, but still a rough place.
That's when they keep saying colonizers. And then you go, wait a minute, you're not a third world country anymore because of colonizers.
Well,
not to say that I understand every issue politically in those other countries, but a lot of them are doing well.
The biggest example is if you look at Somalia. So the north of Somalia is called Somaliland. It was colonized by the English. And the Horn in the south was colonized by the Italians. And they They came together and made a pact, made one country in 1850, and then made it 20 years and went into civil war. If it is the road warrior land, Mad Max Village.
Thunderdome?
Yes. Well, the good ones. The actual road warrior. Thunderdome was American garbage that didn't have enough cars in it. But if you go to the north, they've got Somaliland, which is today thriving, and the south is trying to conquer it. Well, thriving compared to that what's around it, but it has a working government and things like that. So what it is the way the Brits managed their colonies was they would come in and they would build up your people so they could manage and run the bureaucracy, so the Brits could sit off and just be mercantile and just kind of get rich off you. Well, guide you into the future. But the Spanish and the Italians, and maybe it's a Catholic thing, I don't know, but they would make it so that the native population didn't mature. The native population would remain serfs.
Did they use abortion and birth control and all that?
That's a modern thing.
Well, did they use vaccines?
We're talking like 16.
How did they make sure did they kill people?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
They killed people, but they would come and set up. All of them would colonize. They'd come into, in the Americas, it was Stone Age people. In India, it was a busted apart kind of caste system people. In Africa, it was Stone Age people. And they would say, look, they would bring them new stuff. They would bring them parts of civilization. But the way the Spanish did it, and the French to a lighter degree, and the Italians to a lighter degree, is they made it so that every decision had to be made in France. And they would have a governor that was in charge, even of, like if they started a business, say a plantation, they would have a governor that was in charge of it that was French or Spanish or whatever. The Brits, they would raise up and first build the natives into middle management and then allow them to manage it and make them kind of British citizens. Now, maybe the Brits learned this lesson along the way, because the colonies were set up by people who fled Europe, and it was kind of a faraway place, and the Brits were a little bit hands off. So it was still people that had kind of the economic understanding of Europe and in England when they came over and set it up. But
were they religious people?
Multitudes of religions, all of them.
Right.
Mennonites, Protestants, Catholics, Baptists, all that.
And they left for one of those reasons, that they could
some of them
their
were
faith and build a piece of property.
Some of them
that would be,
I think that's in our lore. That's a little bigger than for real. Like they always talk about how the Puritans left for religious freedom. The Puritans left so that they could stop any other religion from happening. So yes, in a way they left.
No, they couldn't do that in England, right?
They couldn't do that in England. They couldn't do that in Denmark. The Mennonites come out of Germany. They left for, yes, religious freedom, but to practice as they will. But a lot of them were what's called second sons. So first sons inherit all the wealth. Second sons go out to find and make wealth.
Right.
So they get a stipend. They come over here and they get to start fresh, where most of the land in Europe's already owned.
Okay.
So
back to Mexico and their growing of their border. And Mexico has paid protesters involved in these ICE protests.
That's the claim. I want to look into it some more. I'm going to check out the book and double check it.
Peter Schweitzer's a pretty knowledgeable person, and he is on the inside.
100%. I want to see if Scheinbaum actually has that anti-US anthem at all of her meetings. I would like to see that for myself and see if that's for real. And if it is, I'll definitely bring it up here. But so, yeah. And it's funny. All my left-wing acquaintances are, they call us traitors for, they say we don't obey the Constitution, but what they mix up is they mix up the Statue of Liberty, the plaque down at the bottom that says, "Give me your weak and your humbled masses, humming, yearning to be free," whatever. That wasn't declared by any of us, by any United States person.
That put on there by the sculptor?
Yeah, and where was he from?
France.
He was a frog. So, now granted, we had a complicated relationship with them at that time.
Either way, we were still registering people. And we knew where they were from. They had intentions of what they were going to do.
100%. I want to see our immigration system reformed, however, but I also want to see it. We've got to do it along with restrictions on welfare. We can't have people come here to live off the goodness of the hearts of everyone else.
It's not goodness of anyone's heart if there's a gun pointed at your head.
I should say the involuntarily goodness of their hearts, because taxes are stolen from me either, at the end of the year or monthly, or it's stolen by way of inflation. And then some of that is peeled off and given to them. We can't have that. I have, I'm an independent, and I happen to see myself as a rather moderate person on most circumstances, but the Democrats have lost me. Now we're going to have a Democrat later on in the show, and I don't want to go hard at him, but they've lost me because more often than not, at a Democrat rally, I would expect to see no flag or a foreign flag.
Or the U.S. flag upside down. That's what I saw a lot of.
At the protest, but I'm talking about at a rally. And we've talked with Katie Adams Anderton, who is a Democrat, about this, and she laments it. She laments that. She also laments how the Democrat Party, and even if you go through the Democrat Party's who they're for, their platform, she laments that the Democrat Party is for everybody except white men. And I know by me saying that sounds like I'm, race realism or whatever, but if you look at a platform and it declares we're for this, I think it's like 19 things, but everything is covered. Every group is covered except one. That's got to make you wonder, like, has the Democrat Party been co-opted by international groups that want to see the U.S. taken down?
I don't see how it can't be, because at the end of the day, I mean, when you're talking, and there are Democrats in my life that I absolutely love, and I treasure the relationship with them more than I hate the party. So I want to keep that relationship and keep politics out of it, because it matters to me to stay close to them. But when I'm talking to other Democrats that I don't know, I keep asking myself and them, you are fighting Right now, at the end of the day, it's like you're fighting to protect criminals. And the worst types, child sex abusers, traffickers, rapists, like you're willing to die to protect these people. Head around that. It's the same with the abortion issue. You're fighting so badly, knowing at the end of the day, it is for the babies are getting murdered in ridiculous numbers, more now than before Roe versus Wade. And why can't the Democrats that I grew up with in my family are different than the Democrats we see today? They were the liberals. They were the free speech absolutists.
Well, that's because they weren't in charge then. Look, the Republicans are on the rise. So right now, I lean closer to the Republicans because they're on the rise. I'm not kidding when I say in 10 years, I will want nothing to do with the Republicans because they'll become nutcases.
Well, they're making me crazy because they're not doing enough.
No, they'll start pushing stuff that, like the Democrats now push these nutcase issues. And so timeline it, here's how it happens with the Democrats. You get the Frankfurt School guys come over. They first get into Columbia, and then from there they start spilling out into other schools, and they focus on getting into the areas of the school that hire other teachers. And by doing that, they hire like-minded teachers. So 20 years ago, there wasn't parity in the schools, but it was, out of 10 teachers, you'd have 3 that were Republican or leaned conservative at the time, which doesn't reflect conservative and liberal today, or conservative and progressive. But nowadays it's like if out of 10, if you had 1 Republican, you'd be shocked. The only places, so, and what it was is you get a group of them sitting up there and they hire like-minded people for the positions. And so that reinforces it. So the Democrat Party is getting funneled through the colleges. That's almost exclusive, right? You get a few outliers. Now, what the Republicans did to reinforce it, we've already talked about the teaching the Bible or teaching intelligent design in biology class. By teaching that, and granted, the Republicans may not have had the message that we have to teach the Bible, but by trying to push intelligent design in, that gave leverage for the Democrats to come out and say they want to teach the Bible in biology class. And that's what chased away your intellectual independence of the late 90s and early 2000s. Tipper Gore.
I thought that was pushed out in the 80s, where they wouldn't allow prayer in school.
It was in 2005. The prayer in school, that's a kind of a different story in itself.
Is that the 70s?
Yeah, that kicked off in the 70s and really got momentum in the 80s. But when that happened, when they had it went all the way to the Supreme Court and got defeated in the Supreme Court. But that chased away your independent intellectuals. So like right now, people who, under any other circumstance, are vocally opposed to most of the stuff the Democrats fight for, still maintain fealty to the Democrat Party, because in their formidable years in the early 2000s, that's when the Republicans went kooky. And so you got your guys like Bill Maher and probably Sam Harris. And if Christopher Hitchens was still alive, he would probably be in the same boat. Christopher Hitchens had his worst enemy ever was Hillary Clinton. He hated her with a passion.
I don't know who that is. Can you tell us who that is?
Christopher Hitchens was, he wrote for Vanity Fair. He was a writer and a speech giver, mostly atheist stuff, but a lot on a little bit of history on the troubles in Ireland, a little bit of history on, certain things like that. But an intellectual guy, Peter Hitchens' brother, actually, Peter Hitchens is a British conservative intellectual.
About how it goes through the colleges. Those colleges get to determine who gets to graduate in those fields, and that breeding ground, not just for teachers, but for journalists.
Well, and also journalists are special class. Journalists almost nowadays are exclusively from wealthy families. So they're all from families that have a parent or a grandparent who earned it. So they're that separated group that they end up being champagne socialists who grew up on easy street, but they look down and say, why do these poors have it so hard? We've got to do something to help them, because they don't understand that.
Yeah, they need us.
Someone earned it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's one of the journalist problems, because nowadays journalism, where there's no longer a blue collar journalism, where now it's more of either a pretty face or a name that gets you in there, or you work for the CIA and get in there that way. We don't need to talk about Anderson Cooper exclusively.
Citizen journalists who are kind of
and they're
people now.
Well, they're taking over. The journalism's dying, but we're living at the end of this journalism thing, because where they have to start out as interns, and they have to do it in New York, LA,
left wing groups.
Well, it's not just left wing, in expensive places.
Right.
So they have to have wealthy parents that can carry them through that however many years of internship. And then you've got, Anderson Cooper, isn't he a Vanderbilt, I believe, if I'm correct. Anderson Cooper's a Vanderbilt, also interned for the CIA, but we don't need to talk about Operation Mockingbird right now.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he interned for the CIA in college. I wonder if that was not what plowed his way, because he went almost right into on-screen media, where most of them have to suffer a little while.
Well, he's got a pretty face too.
Sure, but there's lots of interns that have pretty faces.
Right.
But he plowed right through. But that could have been a mix of, Mockingbird and
what about Don Lemon?
Vanderbilt. Don Lemon. Well, Don Lemon is token.
Okay.
Black guy, gay.
DEI.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that he has any brain cells.
Oh, he might have two, but the friction between them burns one of them out.
I mean, I'm still baffled at some of the stupid stuff that comes out of his mouth.
Well, every day. But so you look at it, that's kind of the path. But anyways, let's go back to Nancy Guthrie. Let's cover that, because we got sidetracked on me giving one of my today my mind was running on a different theory I'm working on right now. This is a future theory. One day I'll bring it up. Let Holly see what she thinks.
I know that the video broke about the person at the front door trying to cover the camera with bushes, or it looks like cilantro to me, cilantro. And I don't mean to laugh, because this is very serious. I'm glad. What I'm amazed at is how much coverage they're getting on Fox. It's like 24/7.
Because Fox,
that feels like it's it feels to me, just right off the block, it feels like it's a distraction. I don't trust. So I'm always wondering, what's happened? And new Epstein files were dropped.
Yep.
I know that this is probably the most horrific thing that this could ever happen to this family. I know that there's nothing, I can imagine that this is just horrific. I don't know if Savannah Guthrie was the target to hurt her. Nobody, I don't know if anyone knows, but this definitely is hurting her. She's not at the Olympics. She's supposed to be. People have said, well, she's interviewed the survivors from Epstein, and I don't know any of that. I hate to judge, and I hate to say hope is lost, especially after, Elizabeth Smart was taken and it got every news media in the world on it. And then for her to come back, what a blessing. So I don't want to get negative, but I know that the mom is got health problems. She needs medication. We're on day 10 or 11 now. And for this video just to be coming out, the FBI did say that they're going through corrupted. They're trying to weave through and to figure out, track her steps, try to watch the camera. She didn't have a subscription on her Ring device, which I hope all of you consider getting that subscription. If you don't have it, then you can't access the past. You can only see what's going on in real time. So, do you have the photo of the guy on the porch or girl?
Yeah, Rio Rico. I mean, she is like 20 miles from, if even 20.
On the border?
6 or 7 miles from the border.
6, 7.
Oh, yeah. I don't
either.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking 10 kilometers from the border. I used to drive down through there all the time when I went and visited my brother. He was down there at Huachuca. But yes, we have some pictures we can show. But so you want to see the picture of the guy covering the camera?
Or the one that actually shows him.
Yeah, it's pretty I don't know, it's sad. She has a pacemaker, if I remember. Is that correct?
Yes, she has a
So that's
pacemaker
heavy
that
right
communicates with her phone. And it dropped communication that night, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it stopped. I think it's just it wasn't in the range of her phone. So
here's the pictures.
see, I think it looks like a man.
Oh yeah.
People are saying it's a female or could be.
Well, it could be. I mean,
it's a 50-50, right? Obviously, what I'm wondering is, did this person, because it looked like they were looking for the key in the video I saw, either under the mat or something. And is this person, did this ring go off before her abduction? Was this something she saw on her Ring camera from her home? Did she even notice that it went off? I'm not sure about the timeline. I did see a citizen journalist was doing a live broadcast, and one of their viewers had pizza delivered to the crime scene. So that has the FBI all tore up. Come on, how stupid are people?
Look, there are trolls everywhere. Hi, Sherry. How are you? But yeah, there are trolls everywhere.
Sure love you.
It's, I don't know. I don't know. So she goes missing. Apparently there was a ransom note that they said we got a ransom note, and then they redacted that they said a ransom note.
It was a troll.
Yeah.
And they've asked for $6 million in Bitcoin.
And then they also took a guy into questioning and then released him. So either they didn't get enough evidence to keep him or whatever else. That's another hard part. So let's say someone gets abducted and you have a strong suspect, say a single suspect abduction. Do you grab that person and hold on to them long term, where a woman who is in her 80s with a pacemaker and on, I'm sure, a handful of medication, do you hold them where that might be the only lifeline to keep her alive? I mean, I would think I would do something different. I'd put a trace on their vehicle or or figure out how to put a trace on them, try to find out their movement patterns and find them that way and release them into the wild.
if you were kidnapping someone?
No, if I was the FBI.
Oh gosh, I'm like, here's how I would have done it. Their witnesses do claim that a white van was seen in the area days before the abduction. So I think that's a lead that the FBI has been running down. I don't watch Fox News. The media that we have fed to us through cable or whatever. I try to just kind of listen to blurps here and there and see what they're saying, and then try to do research and read local news as well.
This one concerns me. So disconnected at 1:47, indicating that she was taken from her home 41 minutes later. What concerns me about that is, what if they just went to a rich person's home to try to, burgle money, and little old lady with a pacemaker, they cause her extreme harm, and then they just take the body.
No body, no crime scene. Like no body, no crime.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what worries me, is that that this woman is in bad way. And the more days that go by, it's just scary. And then you get anybody with a phone and a Bitcoin account could reach out and ask for ransom. How do you know who's real and who isn't?
Yeah,
Bitcoin is hard to trace.
Yeah, well, and that's the hard part is they're asking for ransom in Bitcoin. They could just snatch it and run. That's it.
Oh, Jordan.
What's up, Jordan? Missing woman from Arizona is just sad. Hope she's found quickly. Yeah. What do you think of Rep. Thomas Massey? This Epstein stuff is just drama. Maybe, I don't know. Look, Massey and Rohanna, I know Republicans are supposed to hate them right now, but I think this Epstein stuff needs to come out. We need to get to the bottom of it, because if we have the rich and powerful of our country are wholesale abusing people, abusing young ladies like that, this needs to be known. We need to nip it in the bud. These sacrifices to Moloch in the name of the state needs to stop. I can come up with lots of reasons why Trump would innocently not want it to come out, because let's face it, if we find out that all these names of all the rich and famous are involved, our economy is going to have a hiccup like we have never seen. It will make the Great Depression look like a minor speed bump in front of a school. It will be massive. It will.
Did you watch for you out there, did you guys see the Super Bowl commercial with the victims where they had tape over their mouths saying that their voice isn't being heard and all of that? That kind of set me off a bit. No disrespect to the survivors, and I hate to call them victims. I mean survivors. But these are the people who know who victimized them, who hurt them. And they're not telling, right? Thomas Massey is asked for these names to not be redacted. He is making waves, and he's called for a private meeting to get the names.
That is an argument.
I'm absolutely for Thomas Massey. The man has a 99.9% freedom rating.
Let me argue this point. If I was one of those young ladies, so you see a group of young ladies that come forward in the early 2000s, and by reports, there may have been some young ladies murdered by this gaggle of dirtbags. They come forward to the FBI, and the FBI sits on it. Would you be the one to come forward and say that name again, because you're solely in the sights of the bad guys?
Well, here's my problem. Now, if any time, it would be now, because people are listening.
Seriously.
I mean, and if they have signed NDAs or anything like that, we've already learned those don't hold up in court.
I'll scrub the NDAs for them personally.
And I mean no disrespect. I just want them Sell it in a book if you have to. If it's money you're worried about, if it's witness protection. I mean, I think they hold the key to who did this to them, and they deserve justice. And there's probably a lot of people that can't talk now because they were victimized. And I'm hope truth comes out, whoever side it is. If it's Republicans, great, get them. And if it's Democrats, get them. And I don't want anyone unjustly accused. So I do want this to be an investigation where they get the guys who did this, or girls who did this.
That's a tough one. How do you secure a fair trial now? Maybe it'd just be better but either way, it will destroy our economy. I mean, imagine if it's, what's that? Les Wexner, just his group. He owns Victoria's Secret and all these different modeling groups and everything. That's what percent a drop. And then you get Microsoft with Bill Gates. What percent a drop comes from all that? All these economic hits. It will be
Bill Clinton.
It'll be a crap. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton could be scrubbed. Bill Clinton was the birth of the modern Democrat Party. Yes. But they could wash him away and not even think twice.
But his
about
influence throughout that time.
And
even George Bush Sr. has been accused.
Was his name on there?
Yeah.
Oh, the old head of the CIA.
And the more that comes out about Trump, the more it looks like Trump was trying to help CIA or the FBI take him down.
Like,
but for your question, Cher.
Oh, yes.
Was there any forced entry?
Sherry asked, was there any forced entry? Was it the garage or the back door? It looks like it was the front door. And
law enforcement keeps saying they're not confirming forced entry.
Yeah, they haven't mentioned forced entry, but it looks like at least the Ring camera was on the front door in the entryway to the house. Jordan says, my dad's favorite team, the Patriots, lost to the Seahawks. I was going for the Patriots also. I usually care about the Super Bowl because of the food and snacks. Yeah.
I was pulling for the Seahawks. I've got dear friends in Seattle. My husband and I used to have box seats there once upon a time. I'm a Raiders fan till the day I die, but between the Patriots and Seahawks, I was hoping Seahawks could get another Super Bowl.
I was rooting for the refs, and they turned up fantastically.
Nice. Well, and I used to love the Super Bowl. I would never miss it. We would always make a big party out of it.
I used to watch
and I stopped watching the halftime show back when it was J-Lo and what's her name from Colombia?
Rihanna?
No, my hips don't lie. Shakira. Now, mind you, I love both of them as far as, I love Shakira more than I like J-Lo, but I was watching it with my kids. And it felt like a clothing optional type of deal. And I was like, what are we doing?
Well, okay.
It was gross.
I actually sat through the Bad Bunny performance. I went and watched the Super Bowl at Katie's uncle's house, aunt and uncle's house. And they just left it on. So I, sat there, had a plate of, Super Bowl food in front of me. And I will say, I didn't know a word he said the whole time.
They should have captioned his lyrics, because
that would have been fine.
The lyrics are gross.
I don't know. He's not really a singer. I think they call it trap music. So he's not really a singer. He's kind of like I don't know. He talks a little bit, and then once in a while,
like rap meets
Lady Gaga, she came on and sung, and then Ricky Martin came and sung. They had a wedding during the thing. That was pretty cool.
And I turned to Turning Point, and I watched Kid Rock and those other artists, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I thought about doing that, but I was like, I'm here. It's already on.
But didn't you think the sugar cane with people was pretty cool.
I want to say, I think the production was great. I think the production of the thing was great. It kind of told a story. Someone explained it to me that it was a story about Puerto Rico and losing power and kind of what Puerto Rico's known for, the sugar cane and the street vendors and all this stuff.
It showed the family and the celebrations. There's the people of Puerto Rico, endless celebrations, and their families get together and celebrate weddings. And
it was good. It now,
that was cool.
We are in a modern age, so you're gonna have what you have. Do I think that the selection of Bad Bunny was for political purposes? 1000%. It was completely political. They didn't pick him for any other reason than as a poke in the eye. I
don't know though, because Bad Bunny is got the #1 Spotify. Sure. He even beats Taylor Swift.
Doesn't matter.
But yes, I agree.
Completely political. It was a political selection. From what I understand, Jay-Z is in charge of who gets selected. And that was a deal that was made and he's in charge for another like 3 or 4 years. And Jay-Z is good buddies with Obama and knee deep in the Democrat Party. I'll bet if you dug into the Democrat Party, he carries a lot of sway there. So I do believe it was completely political. It was a sign of the times. It's kind of like this ICE thing. It's like the ICE thing. I feel like the Republicans or Trump specifically, this administration is being baited into hazard with that. And so I'm torn on it. I'm torn on, like, they're mad about ICE showing up here in Salt Lake, but Salt Lake's not a sanctuary city. No. So Utah, if they get an illegal that has an order to deport, they call ICE. ICE takes them and they leave.
At the jail or the court.
And it's rather civilized.
Yes.
But then you get these sanctuary cities where Democrats are trying to bring in illegals. Now, the reason Salt Lake would probably love to do that. But the reason Salt Lake can't do that is because Salt Lake is still a small population in an extremely rural state that will force overruling through legislation.
And the governor has taken a stand and said, we are not a sanctuary state.
Yep.
And
and I mean, they
will cooperate with turning people over to ICE.
Yes. And so I think even Rosie would like to do that, but she doesn't have that ability or that power. And she's the sheriff of Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And so,
but it keeps people safe.
But
they're not casting a net out into neighborhoods chasing these criminal aliens. They're going to where they are. They've been found guilty and they've faced a jury and everything, and they go to the jails, to the prison, to the courts and pick these folks up rather than going out to search for them in the neighborhoods, which is exactly how it should work, folks. We don't want them casting a big net out there. They're not after somebody who overstayed their visa and is living a good, clean life.
Believe me, I want our ICE individuals to be wearing khakis and windbreakers. I think just like the FBI does, I want them in suits.
I want a body cam on them, and I want them to wear vests.
I don't want them to even have to have a body cam where they don't interact on that level, where their interaction is inside of the county jail or
I think for their safety,
the state prison. They come in and they say, we're handing off this person. Does the FBI need to wear them? No, because the FBI doesn't generally go out and interact with the public on a force-on-force basis, right?
I'm not sure if they wear them in no-knock warrants and stuff like that. Do they?
No, the HRT does not wear body cams. I don't think they do. And sure, if you're doing a force-on-force situation, I believe a body cam is excellent idea. But generally, I want the ICE to be a bureaucratic job where they show up, they hand the person over, maybe swap handcuffs, put them in the car, and they transport. Then they transport that person to an ICE facility where they process them for going home.
Yes, FBI agents are required to wear and activate body-worn cameras during
All right,
pre-planned
so-
arrests, service or search warrants, and raids.
Yeah, but the FBI rarely does
Right.
those. I want ICE to never have to do those. I want the local police to be that group that does
I agree.
the possibly violent interaction. I want ICE to be those that show up, transfer them over, and then transfer them to their country of origin.
I think it's gotten out of the hands of the DOJ in a sense that whoever is funding a lot of these protests, which they already know they're being funded. I mean, people are getting off of buses, collecting their signs, going to a location, looking like it's grassroots is getting farther and further away from reality. But whoever's doing it, they're also using our kids. And what's worse is schools are allowing kids to leave campus to protest. As a parent, I would lose my mind at the thought of the school saying, yeah, this is fine. Go out and protest. Protests have been proven to be a dangerous place. We've seen it across the country where it isn't safe. And these kids don't know Shisa from Shinola when it comes to the facts and the end result. What is exactly why you're fighting? Are you trying to free this man who has raped kids or has held up, innocent businesses and robbed them, who's trafficked people? Like, what exactly are you out here protesting? And a lot of kids are like, hey, I get a free day off of school. What? And schools are allowing that? That to me is a problem. And our school districts better have their crap together, because I am not a fan of schools letting your kids out. They're responsible for your kids between the hours of school hours.
Well, didn't they have in Texas, they had a protester, high schooler, hit by a car. And that made the rounds for 2 or 3 days until someone finally released the video camera from the other side. The car's driving along and the kid runs out in front of the car and gets hit. Now, of course, when it made it rounds for the first 3 days, they were like, oh, Trump supporter
homicide.
car hit him. No, it didn't kill the girl. It just, bumped her out of the way. It wasn't, there weren't any blood and hair on the pavement or nothing. But the kid ran out in front of the car trying to stop a car. For all of the less vitriol about the Renee Good situation where why did the cop cross in front of the car? Why did the ICE agent cross in front of the car? Why are kids running out in front of cars? Why? I want to revert that back onto them. Why do your protesters sit on freeways?
Right.
Remember that one where those two ladies, what was the name? It was like Love and Luck or something were their last names, in Seattle, got hit on the freeway by a car, and they wanted to go hard at him until they found out he was an illegal immigrant from Eritrea, if I remember.
In a semi?
No, he was in a car.
Well, that's good.
But he hit him. He's entering the freeway, driving at freeway speeds as it's at night, and they made this people barricade, and he hit him.
That is the stupidest idea.
I did lead off with their Democrat protesters, didn't I?
I don't think you had to say it.
There we go.
Here's the thing is the right isn't big at protesting per se, and mainly because they have jobs. And when they do protest, at least the protests that I've ever witnessed that tend to be like a gun protest or
also
a right to life protest, things like that, I don't see violence.
Also, I think it's because,
and this is my personal experience,
I
folks.
think
I don't know how it is across the country.
I think it's when I see a protest that is holding up people and interrupting people, it turns me off.
Absolutely.
And I'm like,
Absolutely.
that's gross. Blocking traffic's gross. Spitting on people, abusing people, all that's gross. Now, there is also the psychology of the group out of dominance and the group in dominance. The group in dominance generally will get more violent and vitriolic as they try to maintain it as it starts to fade away. And the group out of dominance, not just one, will act more proper, but two, because it's a psychological thing, but two, it's also more effective.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at the civil rights movement. It's more effective on the peaceful side. Gandhi kind of speaks to that quite a bit too.
Do you know what's alarming is that eventually people are going to stop tolerating this bullying, this assault, this holding up freeways, and literally trying to scare people or pull them out of their cars or semis. Eventually, it's going to get the wrong person, and they're going to fight back, citizen on citizen.
Well, that's already happened a few times.
Yes, but it'll happen on a large scale. And then we're dealing with a potential civil war. And I know people think that is fear mongering. It's fear for sure, because I have people approaching me angrily about my petition. I didn't invite them to come. I'm not asking them or forcing them to sign it. I'm not even lying or trying to falsely get their signature. I'm just there to get something on the ballot. I'm following the Constitution and I'm doing what I can. But they come out and they're vicious, and they're vicious to people that are there to sign. What happens when they get the wrong person and end up getting hurt, and a mob forms around them because they think they're the dominant voice in this country? They think they are the majority.
I would argue that's already happening.
It is happening, and the scale is only going to grow between when people get done and they get tired and they stand up for themselves.
How can you stay in Minneapolis? That seems to be the kickoff boiling point for all this. I mean, you're got making Seattle,
too much money off the taxpayers.
Seattle is a nutcase place. I mean, I would live in Seattle if first you let me raise it to the ground. That's the only way.
What does that mean, raise it to the ground?
That means level the place.
Oh, I see.
Because it's people.
I love Seattle.
Oh, sure.
But they are the state of, was it Chaz?
Yes, they're lunatics. But Minneapolis seems to be in the same boat. They're all lunatics. And whenever you look, find me a Democrat city that's not a failed city. Find me one.
Do you notice what fools we are to be protesting and drawing all the attention away from an active fraud investigation? It feels like Minneapolis became the center hub against ICE because there was a fraud investigation going on to preserve your tax dollars. Not just Minneapolis, but the entire country's taxpayers are getting ripped off by electeds in this state. And the mere thought of it, the mere just exposure of it, do you not realize that it was like a purposeful distraction? Hey, you guys got to protest. We got ICE in the streets. Ignore what's going on over here. We need these useful idiots to go out into the street, and we're calling all these people. We've got buses coming in because we don't want you looking at the fraud in Minneapolis. Because you notice how it all changed when these protests started. The news wants to report on the protest, not the fraud. That affects all of us. And we're tired of being ripped off.
I want to point this out because I'm not laying all that blame on the Democrats. Trump fell for it.
Well, yeah.
Well, by sending all those ICE agents in, he's the one who threw up the smokescreen.
He helped. It's a 50-50 though, in my opinion.
He should have he should have said, Minneapolis or Minnesota, we're shutting off your federal funds until you investigate this and come to me with the full report. And then just turn around and keep governing. Do your full report. We're not a part of this. Do your full thing. So now Tim Walz is heroed again. Dice in, and what did he send in there? However million ICE agents. If Trump hadn't have done that, had left the federal footprint the exact same, leave it the exact same, and let the Democrats flop up there, maybe, just maybe, the rural people of Minnesota might have a voice.
Well, it makes me sad that
now they won't.
I
promise you, the next person to win in Minnesota is going to be another Democrat.
Yeah, because they're martyring the party.
Had Trump left it alone, there's probably a chance you might have got a Republican out of the deal.
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. When you've got the voices of the people asking the federal government to come in, I know that there were people publicly asking for ICE because they took a stand against the federal government, saying, we are not giving you our criminal aliens.
That's when you tell the people, hey,
fix it.
We're not sending more ICE in. You know how to make this happen. Vote in, not him.
Yeah. Well, it got him out of the race. Right?
Have a recall election. Well, he got out of the race before ICE ever went in there.
Yeah. When the fraud accusations came up.
Yeah. But
which tells me it was working.
Trump should have said, oh, really? Okay. We're going to shut off federal funding to Minneapolis for all these food programs and whatever else. We're shutting that off.
Moratorium. Let's just figure out what's going on.
And when you guys come back with a full report and a clean bill of health, then we'll look at what we open back up. And then he should also say, you know what? We need to shut off all these food programs right now until the states that are receiving them come to me with a clean bill of health.
Yeah. California is being looked at now.
California, Illinois, New York, all of them. Just say, hey, look, sorry, the feds can't support this right now. We can't support it if the taxpayers are being embezzled from. We can't support it.
Every state should have a DOJ department that goes through every single dollar that is going out into the populace and see what businesses are what. I mean, when you have more home healthcare businesses than you have anything else,
mm-hmm.
and they're all in the
same
when
they all get started
street,
up and they all, some of them are in the very same, not just building, but very same office space in the same building.
Different names.
And every employee has the same last name or the last name of the family that's married into yours.
We have been played, people. We have been played. And thanks to Elon Musk and Doge for taking the wool out of our eyes, or whatever the phrase is. But the problem is we're going back to sleep.
Well, not just that, but I mean, as soon as they were done, the Republicans came in and did the big, beautiful bill and replayed it.
I mean, I want Haitian prostitutes to be able to learn how to bake and dance. I think that's where our tax dollars should be, right?
What about the shrimp treadmills?
Yeah, come on. We went to war over taxes on tea, guys, and other taxes, but still, it moved the people to go to war. And now we're lucky if we get 50 cents out of the dollar we make.
Well,
did my taxes last night, and I am not happy.
I don't want to talk about the overtime I worked 2 weeks ago. Remember that day I worked 20 hours straight in one day?
All right, no tax on overtime up to a certain amount. Did you already hit that amount?
In less than a month?
Oh. Well, at the end of the year, they asked me for overtime and my tips. And
Yeah,
so
but I
was able
kind of
to write that
expected
off.
when I sacrificed that, my check would look better than a normal check.
Oh no, you pay them to work there, apparently.
Good hell.
This is a real issue, and it's ridiculous. And all of us should want an investigation. We're all got skin in the game, folks. And if you don't have skin in the game and you're benefiting from taxpayers, then take it back taxes, get to the bottom of this, because it isn't fair. And if we really, really want to fix our country, we have to go after those who are breaking the laws, whoever it is. I don't care what party it is. I don't agree with Republicans embezzling money from the taxpayer or Democrats. And I sure as heck don't want to have to pay for a government so bloated that we don't notice a couple $1 billion here or there, or we don't fight to stop it for the most stupid reasons. We're literally funding our demise. We're funding our demise.
I am seriously hoping that we, I don't know. Globally, there's so many moving parts right now. It feels like Europe's trying to, and maybe it's us. I mean, we carried them for so long, but Europe wants to disassociate with us, and that's fine. I mean, we finally get a president that comes in and says, I'm going to take care of my people. Granted, Trump has made a lot of mistakes, and he's very vain, and I don't know, there's something with the Trump coin in Saudi Arabia for AI tech deal that went on, and I need to dig into that some more, because that's concerning. That I don't know how I feel about Trump starting a Trump coin on his own. Maybe it's a soft landing for a collapsing financial system. I don't know. It all feels like we're in a rough place regardless right now, It
is. And, Trump, no matter how good Trump is, no matter what Trump does, there's no way for him to fix the economy in a short period of time. And we're losing young voters because they feel disenfranchised, because they're not seeing affordable housing and interest rates fast enough. And I understand that, but you have to think about it, folks. It took 4 years to get us where we are.
I don't know if that's going to happen.
And it's going to take 3 years, if not more, to get us out of it. Ronald Reagan, it took him quite a while to get us out of that interest rate that we were in with Carter. And I don't know that the way he did it actually helped.
It was Volcker, Reagan's Fed chair, who put us in the 17% interest rate. Was 17 or 19? That put us in that to slow inflation that we got under Carter. Because Carter, we had stagflation, which is really bad. That's where you have inflation on top of a disgrowing economy. And that usually happens. You'll notice that usually happens whenever countries dive into socialism. They end up with stagflation because they don't have any growth, but at the same time, they inflate to give everybody everything. And that's essentially what happened in Venezuela. What happened under Carter was an influx of a lot of things.
I'm just talking about the time it took to get it turned around.
Oh, it took.
It wasn't overnight. It was years.
Yeah, it took 3 years.
Into Reagan's second term, even.
And that was a decision made that he increased the interest rate so that new loans weren't popping new money into existence over and over again. And we've had that 0% interest rate since Obama, that low interest rate, which means whenever you go in and get a loan, that money appears into existence, right? It's not like
digitally, right?
Yeah, everything's digital now. Specie is like 10%, or not even 10, like maybe 1,000% of money. Specie is what's in print. That's what's there. It might even be less now because they took the penny out. But so every time that loan made money, made currency pop into existence. It's just kind of how it has to be. I don't know if I've heard people say we're not on fractional reserve anymore, but let's just go off the fractional reserve model where if a bank wanted to give a loan for $10, it had to have $1 in its vault or on its ledger. So that means $9 appeared out of nowhere, right? Plus the interest off of that. So if it's a 30% interest, another $3 appeared. So when you raise interest rates, that means banks are less likely to give out loans and people are less likely to go get loans. So that means less of that money, that
and supply and demand
pops into existence. Less of that pops into existence to slow down inflation. And it's hard. It's hard. Both ways are hard. Both ways hurt. It hurts the economy. It hurts the real economy and corporations and everything. They don't hire as much and they don't innovate as much. And
well, then we get the opposite side with Clinton, where he's like, hey, we want to make this affordable and don't worry about your credit. And let's have banks give out loans. And it was like cutting the legs off of people because honestly, they could not afford their mortgage, even though all of the evidence showed that they would struggle because of their credit history. A lot of it said, hey, this person's a high risk debtor. We have to make sure that we're getting their checks or their monthly payments. And then one dip in anything.
Yes. Well, it forced the banks to leverage themselves and their members into giving loans to people who didn't have the financial maturity to manage them.
Yeah. And therefore you get a collapse.
And then to make up for that, banks started packaging and trading these loans off to each other. So they would package these loans together, a group of 50 loans, and they would have a certain amount of safe loans and a certain amount of unsafe loans, and they would trade them across to each other or sell them to each other.
What's the movie called that went into the 2008 disaster?
The
Big something.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, I think it's on Netflix. It really describes.
I never saw the movie, but
what was happening in a way that you get engulfed in the movie as far as like the characters and what's happening, and they got great characters in there.
That covers the Lehman Brothers collapse, doesn't it?
Yeah, whoever it was that bet against the country and not the country, but bet against banks and homes and all that, and they had a huge windfall.
Well, the shorts, yeah.
The Big Short, I think, is what it's called.
The shorts those are big ones. That's when you go into the stock market and bet on losing, and you win on losers. I don't know, but we should have Mackenzie joining us here any minute. Hopefully he makes it in here.
The movie was made in 2015. It's got Brad Pitt in it, Steve Carell, and it's based on Michael Lewis's book about a group of outsiders who predicted and profited from the 2008 housing market collapse by betting against the subprime mortgage market, which was unheard of at the time.
Wow.
They were buying tons. They were putting so much money into betting against banks who had these subprime mortgages.
The banks were forced into doing it.
Right. And I believe it might be on Netflix. It's called The Big Short. So check it out if you're interested in that. And there's no, I mean, if when you make housing so easy for people, you also get into a dangerous situation because people that don't have a good record as far as good credit goes and establishing that they can pay their bills and they do, that they prioritize their bills, those folks, if they even get behind a little bit, it's like, great, you have a home now and you've got home ownership, but you can't maintain it. And then Big Rock come in, or BlackRock, is it BlackRock? They come in and buy all these
Vanguard.
Residential houses, and then they sell them for exuberant amount of money, which changes the entire housing market in that area.
Well, they really don't own that many, but so you've got Vanguard and BlackRock, which their big command on the economy is they're the ones that started the kind of ESG. If a corporation wanted to get loans through them, they kind of started ESG modeling in order for corporations to get loans, which is why corporations went so kind of hog wild over the last however long and started hiring people that were unhealthy for their corporation. Like Harley Davidson hired an eco-Nazi to be the head of Harley Davidson. And his plan was to make Harley Davidson into an electric motorcycle company. Harley Davidson has since corrected themselves. John Deere.
Can you imagine turning your hog into a electric? I mean, you'd have to buy a recording device to make the sound of the epic sound that the Harley makes.
Exxon had, if I remember, it was a 8-person board, and they forced it so that 4 of them were eco-Nazis. Exxon.
What is an eco-Nazi? The green?
Yeah. The Tomb Bears freaking heroes.
You see a lot of California wants to tax people by the mile because they're not making any money on gas in California anymore. So they want to tax electric car owners for miles used. And what's so crazy is people are fighting back and they're saying, wait a minute, you told us
not just that
to buy electric.
California's about to eat a big old bowl of shit. California has lost 2 of their refineries. They lost
Zuckerberg too.
They lost 2 of their oil refineries. Now, California takes a special blend of gasoline. The only other place that makes it is Seattle, and Seattle uses all of what they make. So California is out trying to shop around for people to make it, but they taxed and regulated 2 of their, I think 6 refineries out of existence.
It doesn't surprise me.
Now, when you look at this, I know you're like, oh, well, they still have 4. Everyone needs to picture this as a household. Every time you look at state economics, look at it as a household. So if you have $6 to your household and you take away 2 of it, how is your household? If you have 6 apples for your household and 2 of them disappear, how healthy is your household? So they just lost about, what would that make? About 40% of their, or not 40. It'd be about 30. No.
This is a state who has to have rolling blackouts and things because they can't.
But this is their gasoline that drives their
keep
trucks.
Their electricity going, and they want everyone to be in electric cars.
Well, it's not, but no, this is deeper. This is about their trucks, about the things that deliver food to your stores. It's about the things that deliver clothing to your stores. It's about the things that deliver the things to the things. And
that's really deep.
By losing that, California's prices are going to explode. And California has reached out to Utah. We can't help them. We don't make that blend of gas, and we use ours. They've reached out to Arizona. They're reaching out to Seattle, and nobody can help them. So California democrated their way out of prosperity. The California, if California does not, well, the thing that'll save California Democrats is the immigrant push. Because if California didn't have that, the Democrats would handily lose. They would have to. Only retards and actresses would continue to vote for these policies.
Well, speaking of that, the Facebook guy, Zuckerberg, he's moving operations out of California, going to Florida.
Yep.
And it's this tax on billionaires is the stupidest thing you could do in California. It's so stupid. I mean, you're going to tax the people that are funding all your bad ideas.
I know.
How much more? Zuckerberg is supposed to pay what, $5 billion or something in this new tax, if not 13, it's $5 to 13 billion. If he's not going to notice, he's got $60 billion in the bank or whatever. No, he noticed.
Here's what you're going to see: is you're going to see California.
There's already a mass exodus.
Let me throw my prediction out. So Newsom is out. He's running for president. You know, that's pretty obvious. The next governor is going to
the Fang guy,
whoever it is. He's going to
is running, right?
He got disqualified somehow. I've got to read into that more, but I heard he got disqualified. Have you ever watched when he farted on the news?
Oh yeah,
that was my favorite.
Awesome.
Gosh, man, I got a hernia laughing over that. But anyways, the next governor is going to be a Democrat because that's what they'll get there. And they've gerrymandered it so that that's all they'll get. But the next governor is going to say, "Oh, we've hit," they're probably going to blame it on Trump's tariffs. It'll be the message they put out. The tariffs hurt us so bad that we've got to lay down tax incentives on X. And they're going to start out and they're going to make it so that corporations probably start out with specific corporations because Democrats can't bear to not suck taxes out of someone. They'll probably lay it down. They'll try to get automobile companies back, but they're too late on that. So they'll probably they're going to focus on the next industrial revolution. So it'll be tech and AI. They're going to focus on tech and AI, giving them tax incentives where corporations will pay nothing in taxes. And they'll probably give heavy state incentives when they build there. They'll do that to make it attractive for them for new startups to go there. Will it be too late? I don't know. They've got to hope they can hold out long enough to keep some of Silicon Valley there. But that's what they'll do. They'll do that.
Zuckerberg first and others will follow. Well, Elon first. And now others are following.
Well, first,
Eric Swalwell's still in the race as of 2 days ago.
The first one to move out was Oracle. Oracle was the first. That was, 6 years ago now? When Oracle moved out.
It's insanity, folks. It's insanity to keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. California is a gorgeous state. It's a beloved state of so many people, but the policies there have driven so many out already.
Well, what they did is they went hyper liberal. So California drew in a particular class. So it drew in tech billionaires that grew wealth so fast that they didn't recognize it. Well, we got Mackenzie on now. Let's just go on and chat with Mackenzie. All right, Mackenzie.
Hi, Mackenzie. Welcome.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Let me give a quick announcement real quick. Okay, everyone, this is Mackenzie Miller. He is a Navy veteran, a working parent, and a data analyst running for the Utah State Senate. He entered politics after organizing working parents in response to the sudden closure of county-ran child care centers. And he now focuses on practical solutions, government accountability, and long-term planning that puts Utah's families first.
Thank you. Thank
All
you for
right.
your service, Mackenzie.
Yeah, what'd you do in the Navy?
A lot of stuff I can't tell you, actually. I can tell you that I fixed electronics on submarines.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So you were an underwater Navy man who slept in the hot box.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough said. Well, no, that's great. I'm an Army veteran myself.
Nice. What'd you do?
I was a truck driver.
Okay.
Nothing top secret at all.
Oh, you were an MP also.
I did that a little bit, but
Yeah.
most of the time was truck driver. But give us your spill. You're running as a Democrat.
Yep.
Okay, so right now we've got a forward party incumbent, Emily Buss, who took over for Dan Thatcher when he gave up his seat. So tell us about your run. What's your campaign like? What are you thinking?
Right now, campaign super bare bones. I do everything on my own. It's pretty easy though. My job, I do a lot of digging around in Excel spreadsheets, and most of this stuff is just data. It's in a spreadsheet once you get it. So
That's me being jealous.
I'm fine with it. It's fine to pitter patter around with it and chop up data, and that's part of what I do now. But my campaign, I mean, running as a Democrat, this is actually full disclosure, my first year registering as a Democrat. I'm usually unaffiliated. But just at this point with the county childcare centers and things like that going on, a lot of my values align with Democrats. I just don't really like the way they do things. So I'm not like them. I am more, I stand on business when it comes to the things I care about instead of folding over time. So I realized that these things, especially in Utah, I moved to Utah after I got out of the Navy, and that was end of 2016. And there's just so many things going on. I mean, I've always cared about the environment, and Utah is one of the best environments of everywhere I've lived. I've lived in a lot of states, probably, let me think, at least 12.
Wow.
And I like Utah the most. But a lot of things that people are doing, both sides are not great. And so I just want to bring some integrity and accountability and just real solutions to our legislature instead of passing bills that don't seem to really solve problems that even exist.
Well, tell me about this county ran child care centers. What's that? We're out here in Tooele.
So I live right on the edge. I don't know if you guys know where I live. I live in Magna, western edge of Magna. So
no Magna.
Yeah, the old Magna. And the county child care centers, there were 4 of them, they still exist for now. There's one in Magna, there's one in Kearns, there's one in Mill Creek, and the last one's in Rose Park. And so these centers do a lot of things that the Salt Lake County Council said that other daycares do, but they don't. Example, the hours are very flexible. I think it's open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's one thing that's very important for people who actually work, is because, I need time to drop my kid off, then make the commute to work, then come back like after work and pick them up. I used to work in Draper, and when I came back to the Magna one, I would have to leave at 5 o'clock to get here almost at 6 o'clock. So it's like,
wow,
you kind of need that flexibility when you're working in a lot of these childcare centers that they're trying to push us towards, like either in home, and we can go into that, but it's like they're open till like 3:30 or 4 o'clock, something like that. It's like, most people work till 5. That's like,
and aren't you penalized if you don't pick your kid up by 3:30?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of them charge a fee if you're late, and it's like, per minute is, I think it's like $2 per minute or something. Well, the Salt Lake County does that, $2 per minute if you're past 6 o'clock, which sometimes when it snows, we do that, but I mean, whatever.
What's the cost differential between private and government ran?
Substantial. So we were paying I think $460 a month per child. So I had 2 daughters. And they both they both used to go to the Magna Rec Center. My older daughter is old enough to go to school now, so she's in kindergarten. But yeah, it was 460, and everywhere else I was looking, when I was doing in-home care, which was unlicensed, it was like the, under a certain ratio, they don't have the license, or under a certain, I think it's under eight or less kids that aren't related to you, you can have a daycare unlicensed. I was paying $600 a month. And
Per
then,
kid, right?
yeah. And then when I was looking for center-based, like ABC Great Beginnings, I think another one close to me is like the Camelot Kids one. It was like, 900, 1,000, 1,100, per month per kid. And that's just not really feasible.
Did I do that?
Yeah. No, you're just making sound.
Hey,
Oh, you're back.
I was
So-
really fast with this. Those ones that don't have to be licensed, that means they also can't charge Medicare or anything. They don't get government subsidies like the ones who are run by the county, correct? So people who are low income could get help in those rec centers where they don't when it's a private home, correct? If unlicensed home.
So the rec center never actually verifies your income. It never asks for it. So everyone's paying the flat rate.
Oh, okay.
And to speak to like the subsidy that they were getting, I mean, it's like $2 million. Well, actually, it's 1.54 million. Like, don't let them fool you. Like I do the data. Like I look at their numbers, and even when they increased the tuition because they pushed back after me and lots of parents showed up to those county council meetings, and they pushed back the closure date because they were going to close it end of 2025, but they pushed it to the end of the school year. And I mean, I told them, as I'll tell anybody, that it's more of a Band-Aid because there's no solution for like these kids that have to go somewhere, and they're looking at making bills to expand like in-home care. And honestly, I'm fine with in-home care as long as there's a little bit of kind of structure, and like, let's all like standardize it in a bit. So that way, when I'm going to in-home cares, they're licensed by the state, but it's like, what quality am I getting? That's what it's important to every parent, is like, is their kid just going to be sitting in front of a TV? I mean, even in the midst of these county childcare centers closing, a kid died in home care. They suffocated because they left him in their car seat, and that was in West Valley. So it's things like that where it's like, there's no way for us to know because there's no record. It's like, were they behind on trainings? Did they not know this? Did they even take any training? When you can just kind of pop up childcare in your home with no real training. Because to me, I was raised by a single father, and I know that not everything he did was correct. Like, it wasn't like the best, but who teaches you any of that, right?
Yeah.
So if you think that you raise some kids so you should be able to run a daycare, I don't think those necessarily equate. And even when my first daughter was born and we were going to that in-home care, they would ask us to leave the car seat so she could sleep in the car seat. This is before I knew that you could suffocate and die. And so it's things like that where it's like, even as a parent, I don't know that. Like, nobody tells you these type of things. And now when you hear about these things, and it's like, wow, like we really should have a little bit of kind of standards in terms of what do these people know when they're taking on our kids.
Yeah, 100%. I think the reason parents don't find out that horrible tragedies because most parents don't just leave their infant in a car seat all the time.
Exactly.
They are concerned with taking them out. And infants, they cry every 2 hours for one thing or another, which age you and taking them out. Whereas a daycare, they're not invested in that infant the same. They might put that infant on somewhere where they won't hear him. What was so it was county ran. Was it state funded or county funded?
County funded. What did
the county, why was the county saying they were closing them down? What was there?
That's the hard part because we've heard a lot of different things. They don't really settle on one. They talk about deferred maintenance for the buildings. And I can speak for two of the centers because Magna and Rose Park are both part of the rec centers. Like,
I've been to Magna's.
Yeah, it's in the front. Like right when you go in, you turn right, it's right there. So whatever deferred maintenance that the county bears that responsibility, the majority of it actually, because the majority of if you were going to look at how much space did the childcare take up versus, the rest of the rec center, it's like, okay, the majority of the rec center is not childcare. So they would bear most of that cost. They would say it's unfair to other parents. And the thing is that they paid someone to do that pathways report. And it showed that people come from out of county to bring their kids to in-county care. So they even showed people who live in Lehigh who would take their kids to the Mill Creek, or I knew parents who lived in Bountiful and would take them to Mill Creek. Mm-hmm. So people drive yeah. And if you're coming from out of county into county, you're going to take your kids there. So that's my biggest thing is we're all driving most of the time when we're going anywhere. It's not like we can't drive from, Midvale to Mill Creek. It's down the street, really, to me. I used to fix printers around like this whole area. So I know like how close everything is. And so that was another one. And, even to fight that is to say, why don't we make this more accessible to more people? Because we're citing declining birth rates as a reason to get rid of the childcare centers. It's like, but did we ever think that people are not having kids because they can't afford to have them? I mean, some people can't even afford to live where they're living.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does the county have to pay for liability insurance on these facilities?
I think so. I can't remember every line item. I
imagine that'd be expensive to care for these kids. And then does the county require background checks on the people there? I know when I was looking for a daycare for my baby, and I feel terrible for any parent who has to use a daycare for their baby. It is a horrible challenge you give within yourself. And it's like, oh, are they going to be safe? Are they going to be fed? Are they going to be cared for? Diaper rash is a big thing when you're in a daycare. Your child's a number and no one will care for your baby like you will. That's just truth, right? So you really have to feel a connection. And I settled on an in-home one and my child was one of 3. And I loved that, but I felt very lucky. The question is, as an individual person, how do I get a background check on this person to make sure? And then not only that, who's visiting? We lost him, but who's visiting these I'm wondering who's visiting this person and the people visiting their background check, because you're constantly worried about your child being around somebody that's nefarious with their actions or doing something you don't agree with. And so a facility that's run by the county and funded by the county, that's got insurance, that potentially does hiring with background checks. This feels like a safe way. And hopefully it has cameras that you can view any time of day because it is a county run facility. I know you went through all this when you were finding your place for your kids. I'm sure every parent goes through it. Do you see the benefits in a county run facility over an in-house one?
Yeah, I mean, for me, a lot of the benefit comes from one, as long as I've been going to the Magna Rec Center, it's pretty much the same staff. And so a lot of them, when my older daughter comes, because I pick her up from school first, she comes back and we go in there to pick up my younger daughter. And, the teachers are happy to see her. They give her a hug. They give her like a snack, like a muffin or whatever. And it's like nice to know that they're consistent. It's like one of the highest turnover careers is childcare. And I mean, that looks at a lot of things like median pay is so abysmal. It's like $12 an hour. I think it's $12.67 or something in Utah. And so it's like, you can't really find people who are going to work this as a career because it just doesn't support you as a person. But I think that the facility is much better. We wanted to find a facility because a lot of times they have an outdoor area that the kids can go play.
Yeah.
A lot of these newer homes that people are purchasing or that are being built, you've seen them, they have like no backyard, right? It's like a strip of grass. And it's like, how are kids going to like play out here? And it's like, are you close to a park? Or, now you're walking this whole group of kids,
you don't want them driving with your child. if
Yeah,
you
and
can
I don't
help
wanna be
it.
driving either. So it's like, you're trying to find like the best of all worlds. And I felt like for a lot of us parents, the county child care centers did give that, because even some of the county or not county, the daycare centers that they were trying to say, oh, there's availability here, you can send your kids here. We'd call them and say they don't have the right hours. They don't give meals. They only give snack. And I mean, like, we can get into snacks because, like, I think a lot of snacks that people give are garbage anyway,
Mhm.
but that's something else. And another really good thing that the county did was driving kids to and from school. So
Yeah.
if you had to leave your house to go to work before your child had to go to school, you could drop them off there. You pay like a smaller cost. It's like 200. Drive your kid to the school and then pick them up from the school and drive them back. And they would hit a couple schools. A lot of places don't do that either, where they'd pick you up from their school. And I think it's more, there are some people that don't need that service, and there are people who do need that service. And it's
We have that
important.
in our county where
Yeah.
they drive a little bus and take them to and
Yep.
from
Yeah, we
school.
got that one down there by
In
Maverick.
Stansbury. Yeah.
No, I'm hearing, I definitely hear what you're saying. I just wonder, I mean, I naturally have some reservations about governments starting businesses
Mm-hmm.
because one, if a government starts it, generally it hangs on to it far longer when it's failing, and they get rid of it quick when it's not. Also, it outcompetes the free market.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one concern I have, where you have a county daycare that will restrict people who otherwise might open a daycare from opening it because they can't compete with it, where everyone subsidizes one group and the other person has to scratch for survival. But that being said, I would like to know why the county is choosing to close it. That's a big question I have. If it's an affordability thing, if you're saying it's 1.5 million, 1.54, they easily have enough people there that could be spread out on taxes, and it would barely be noticed.
Yeah, and that's what we were trying to. The county budget is 1.9 billion. So this is, I think,
Is the county fiscally sound?
that's I don't know if it's my job to say, because I don't look at all the books or like all of the buckets. But I mean, 1.9 billion, that 1.54 million is like 0.015%. It's like
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
so
not a,
they're trying to mitigate. They were trying to mitigate the property tax hike, like 20%, and they said they haven't raised property tax for Salt Lake County, which is like, it's all like just wrong framing, because they say Salt Lake County property tax is going up 20%. That only accounts for, at least for me, people who live in Salt Lake County, 17% of your bill, your total property tax bill. So 20% of 17%. Not that, it's really not that much, to me. And I use it. And even if I didn't use it, I would still pay for that, because I think that I agree with the way that you're framing that. You think that with government in business, it can undermine private business, but that's like not what we're seeing. We're seeing that without a cheaper, feasible option, they can run away with childcare, because the day October 28th is when they voted to close the childcare centers, and the only person that they had to come talk was the CEO of ABC Great Beginnings. So it's like the person who would stand to gain the most,
that's,
because they had record lows from when Utah did all day kindergarten.
that's very true. It'd be interesting to see if all the daycares, the month after jumped their price by 5%.
Yeah.
Because then, and so I agree with you there. A competition market's knocked out.
Yeah.
And
I'm
they've
gonna
got
let her go. I actually forgot your name, but I want to
Holly.
Was it?
I'm Holly.
Okay, Holly. I want to let you go. And the one thing I did want to say beside that is I also appreciate that small business owners want to try to start a daycare, but then for me, the crux of capitalism rests on how are you innovative, how are you quality? Because I agree that I would have to pay more, right, for in-home care. But it's like if your quality is much better than the county, because the county has to meet a certain level, and that's kind of all they do.
Yeah.
And they're beholden to this standard. That's it. They really can't even exceed the standard on their own, because where are they going to get the money, right?
It's very sterile and
Yes,
very
I agree with you there too.
So I think that where home care can differentiate is having a little bit more credentials, having a little bit more like more of a resume to give to parents when they come in and say, we pay for this this preschooling program that we go through with the kids, help them learn and I mean, I did all that stuff with my oldest daughter, and I'm doing it with my younger daughter now. But it's like, just teaching them the letters, like setting them up for kindergarten. So like a pseudo preschool, like have a little bit of curriculum.
like a Montessori, right?
Yeah. So it's just, you got to be a little bit better. That's my definition of capitalism is if you're going to start a business, you need to have a niche, and you need to have something that differentiates you. And like what I always feel like it does is it should be breeding innovation, but it actually breeds innovation in the wrong way, where it's like, how can we maximize money and minimize cost or like input?
You're right. And childcare is tough because they have parents held by the short hairs.
Yeah.
So I would like to know your thoughts on Trump's child care plan, because what he's trying to get in 2026 is a proposed tax credit to give more money in tax credit for child care costs so that parents can claim more per child than what they're claiming. And then also, like you said, try to get businesses to put on-site childcare at your business, and then giving that business a tax credit so that they too can claim it. And it makes better, happier employees when they can actually have their child in view if they want throughout the day. And it makes better kids, like more confident kids.
Imagine those poor kids out in the dust of the
giving them, an incentive. And then he is saying to head back to states funding and giving more to the states, and putting the federal government out and putting states in charge of the funding that goes to childcare. And that just allows state grants and state efficiency and requirements. And like you say, they'll hurry up and be mediocre, right? To open up a business when the family that I chose, or the woman that I chose to watch my child, she was better than every single licensed daycare.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. She had a niche. She went over the letters with my little boy, and she, even at 1 year old, he did stand out. I got a full report of everything that happened that day. There was an access to a camera. I was able to go to work, feel good. And she didn't drive him anywhere because I was always worried. What if an accident happens?
Yeah.
So I know that's not the norm for these parents who are struggling, but I also know if the federal government, if Trump's plan were to go into motion and what he's proposing, the federal government has a lot of say when it comes to taxes, right? And to be able to say, I've got 2 children in daycare, I want the best care for my daughters, and I'm paying a little bit more, but you're able to write it off and actually get that counted towards your taxes, is like giving you a subsidy.
Yep. I mean, I've seen some of the numbers where it's talking about a proposed tax credit, but it's like, I'd say that it doesn't matter really the amount that people are getting back for that, because I think I saw something that said it was like, I think $400. And like, I can't remember exactly there was like, a table, and it was kind of chopping up and saying how much you would get. But I mean, $400 sounds like a lot, but like over a course of a year, what's 40 divided by 12, or like 400 divided by 12 months, right?
The tax credit would be $2,200 per child.
Additional?
Yeah, that's tax-based incentives, including expanding the child tax credit up to $2,200 per child.
Maybe I'm thinking of a state one that I saw.
And increasing deductions for childcare expenses. The plan aims to increase parental choice and encourage employer-provided childcare with proposals targeting $1,200 annual rebate for lower-income families.
I mean, if it's that much and most people are going to get like that amount, then that does help because for a lot of us, it's not choice. We don't choose to go to these places. We only pick what we can afford, and that's not
Right.
a real choice. That's I'm forced to pick that.
Would,
And so, yeah, if you get more taxes back, I mean that helps.
would a progressive style fee work out in that situation? Do you think that might aid in salvaging it?
Like what you can afford
Well, a
based on
percentage,
income.
yeah, an income percentage or something.
You can only do that with a county-run facility, though,
Yeah,
because regular home care.
Well, no, we're talking. I'm not saying that you're only getting into being a senator so you can salvage the county
no,
rec.
that's
daycare.
that was just
That's
the
what
last
initiated
straw.
you. That
Yeah.
initiated you into politics. And I don't want to just
Yeah.
linger on that. I do like the story that you got involved. I'm just on an off note. I wonder if the counties, I'm sure they've thought of it. Remember, I am a low IQ moron on the other side of the mountain. I'm sure smart people have thought of all this, but maybe a progressive cost plan might help salvage it. But so let's branch out a little broader than just that. So you're running for Senate seat 11. You'll be my senator if you do that out here in Tooele.
Yep.
Have you explored Tooele much at all? Have you looked into what Tooele needs?
I've been over there a couple times. I'd say the majority. I've called every delegate in my district already, Democrat delegate, and everyone pretty much says the same thing. Everyone literally says the same thing. They say they care about. Most people care about the housing. How can we get people? I'm 32. I turned 33 on Saturday. So it's like, how can we get people like my age and younger to feel confident that they're going to be able to buy a house in their life? Because really, like cutting out coffee, let's say it's $7. That's how much like I'll pay for a latte or something. And it's like, how much do I need to save up? How many years is that going to take? $7 a day or whatever. I don't get a coffee every day. I get a coffee every 2 weeks, something like that. It's like, how long is that going to take to get up even, 5% or 3%, whatever it is for like your FHA loan? It's like, how long is that going to take people? And even when, it doesn't feel like the wages even keep up with the housing costs because like, you'll get a minimum raise, let's just say 3%, right? It's like the housing increases by way more than that. A year, it feels like. So that's one thing. Not the biggest thing. The biggest thing, honestly, for us who live right next to the lake is the lake. Yeah. Or, what is left of it. Because I even spoke this week at for one of the I had to do it virtually, but for House Bill 250, which is to allocate more money to save the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I live right next to it. So like
that's Bridger's bill, actually.
The drier it is, the more heavy metals come up in the air. And I know that like Democrat, Republican, my whole thing is as opposed to Governor Cox's saying of disagree better, I think we should agree better. Let's agree on things that make sense and just move through 95% of the issues that we all agree on. Like we all agree that if the Great Salt Lake dries up, we're all going to be, hurt by all those heavy metals in the air.
How do you legislate that? How do you legislate weather?
It's not weather. It's,
so we don't have snow. We don't get water.
Hold on.
But the thing is, so I'm from North Chicago. I'm very familiar with the lake effect. And the reason the lake effect and the snow are tied together. The more lake we have, the cooler it gets, which goes through the weather, right? Helps the weather to give us snow. It's like 50 degrees today. Like it's nuts. And I've been here, like I said, end of 2016, and this is the warmest it's ever been. But like, we still need to make sure that the Great Salt Lake is getting water. And I think being more efficient with agriculture to not need so much water share toward agriculture, because this was probably 2018 or 2019. I think like the slow the flow movement, that whole thing was coming up, and it's saying, oh, take less showers, don't water your yards, stuff like that, which I mean, I don't water my yard anyway. But I'm like, I'm really curious. Let's go look at the numbers. And it's like when it says like 85% of our freshwater usage is from agriculture, it's like this isn't sustainable to keep using all of our water. And I've heard that they actually get like use it or lose it. And I mean, you were in the military, I was in the military. We know that what it means is when we get to the end of the year, if we have money, we have to spend it, or they're going to pull us, they're going to take money away from us. So what they do is, who knows if they go and use all this water, so that way next year they can get the same allotment or, qualify for more. An interesting point I saw was, why doesn't we parcel out all this other fresh water? Like they're talking about the gooseberry, and they're, disputing over water shares, and that's fine. But the Salt Lake doesn't have any. It's owned by the state, and it's like, so who's protecting the state's water? Like,
Well,
we need it.
I agree. Agriculture does take a lot, but most of their shares come from water rights. They buy so many foot acres of water. They purchase that with their house. So it's not really a use it or lose it. It's a licensing thing. And you'll find out municipalities commonly, when they get into trouble with developers like Tooele did, part of that fine is they give up municipal water rights like Tooele did. I think it was 2 million feet acres Tooele lost in a lawsuit.
Water is a huge issue in Tooele County.
Another thing is, two things you talked about, both very important. I'm not taking away from them. But also what we got to look at is what feeds the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah.
It's fed by mostly by two rivers, one from the north and one from the south. And we need more houses, but where are all those houses going?
Yeah.
They're going along those pathways that pull water away through developers buying water rights and then filling aquifers to feed.
Mhm.
So we're in a catch-22. What do we need? More housing or Great Salt Lake water? So we got to figure that out. I know my job depends on the lake.
Yeah, many businesses.
That doesn't mean I
County.
know anything about it. That means I know very little, but what I do know, I'm kind of versed on.
But
so they tried doing the Bear River plan, where they tried diverting some more or they talked about it. The problem is every time we have this deal going on, next thing you know, lawyers skip into the program, delay it. So
and that's where some of that money would be. That money would be coming from that bill was talking about using to help, get more water to the Salt Lake. Because to me, catch-22 is more housing or the lake. I feel like it has to be the lake, because we have to be able to live here. You're going to build houses for nobody.
Yeah, it's poison if that dries up.
Yeah. And I mean, I spoke on that too, because they're talking about another bill. Can't remember which one now. Like expediting mining for, precious materials in Utah. And I'm like, I'd just like to say that as I'm not for or against the bill, but I would like to see a little bit more like verbiage on making sure that we're taking care of the environment as well. Cause I live right next to Kennecott. Like I can see them.
Yeah, so do we.
So, so it's like, and you can't really quantify how much heavy metal they contributed to the lake, but it's like, I also know, it's a terminal lake. So those heavy metals end up there anyway through, downstream, but it's like, we could have exacerbated the problem. We don't know, but it's like, that's where the environmental impact comes in. And I don't want to see something like, if you guys know anything about DuPont, and I think it's in Georgia, right? They're dumping all those chemicals in the water. And the thing is that the EPA can only find out years after they've done it. And then what they do is they slightly alter the formula, and then they dump it in the water again, because like they can only illegalize it after the fact, not before the fact.
Businesses are happy to pay the fine, not change the behavior. And
that's because I truly think that we don't tax them enough or fine them enough for breaking the law.
again, that's another catch-22.
Yeah.
Do you want businesses to even exist?
I want them to exist, but for capitalism, I think there's two things. There's stakeholder capitalism and there's shareholder capitalism. Shareholder is all about maximizing profit and minimizing cost. Stakeholder capitalism is realizing that you're a business who exists in a community and we need each other, right? I mean, people don't realize that if you don't like the way that your work environment is, if people leave, one day you will hurt the business more than they can hurt you in one day.
True.
So we need to kind of,
What about all the studies that say shareholder capitalism stops innovation?
Shareholder capitalism
stakeholder capitalism stops innovation because they go into just stasis. Where the competition of the competition of the other shareholder drives them forward to try to outcompete each other. It's kind of like the same way Russia in the 80s built a car, right? It's called a Lada. And Russia went and looked around the world for a blueprint they could get to copy. And they copied an Italian car that was built in the 50s.
And then?
No, but that was what they copied because they had no desire for innovation.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't need innovation.
Innovation at the expense of what? Because to me, the people have to, we have to live in a harmony. I mean, we have to live in harmony with
I agree. I'm not arguing that.
So, I agree with you, but at the end of the day, we're seeing the way it is going and it's not looking good, where it's like I'll say this frankly, it feels like in this day and age, I am like being squeezed out of every drop that I can get.
Right.
It's like out of every dollar I can get, everything's becoming a subscription. Everything is becoming like plastic garbage. And it's like, I have a Volkswagen, just a Volkswagen Rabbit as a car. And I've had that car is 20 years old now. And I've had it for 11 years now. And I just fix it. And that's all I do. And it's like, I really hate the idea of having to buy a new car.
Oh, yeah. For $50,000.
Yeah. And so it's like, but it also feels like I can't get anything that's worth it because it just feels like trash. And so it's like, okay, how do I reconcile between what I need and what is going to last? And I mean, there's another saying that people say, it's like, it's so expensive to be poor because you can't afford something that's worth keeping. So you have to keep buying the garbage. And it's like, you look at like food, right? I mean, I'm pretty, I care about like the food that I eat. We don't eat a lot of garbage. I mean, yeah, I go out to eat sometimes. Sometimes I'll eat trash, and that's my right.
Yeah, but poor people, food has poison in it.
Yeah, but it's like a lot of that food. And I mean, as I get older, I realize how exceptional my upbringing was to get me into this point, because when I was in the Navy and when I got out, it's like I already knew how to do everything on my own. Like I knew how to cook meals and it wasn't that complicated. I'd make spaghetti when I was in the Navy and I would just eat that for like a week because I just make the sauce myself. But a lot of people don't know how to do that. And that kind of gets me into like education. I feel like our children aren't really being prepared to go out into the world to be adults. And I know that there is some of that on the parents. But at the same time, I mean, the teachers see my kid more than I do. Like they see them 8 hours a day. They come home and I see them from, let's say 3:30 until 7:30. I see them 4 hours a day, and them getting ready in the morning. Let's just say 5 hours a day. And the teachers see them 8 hours a day. And it's like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do here, because even when I get them, there's no like teaching in that moment, right? During the weekdays, I can't teach you anything. You've got homework, we've got to cook dinner, you've got to take a bath or take a shower. Like there's just so much stuff. And by the time you're done with all that, it's time to go to bed for them anyway. For now, my daughter's younger, but when they're older, I mean, there's just so many things that parents, I'll just say parents for now, have to balance.
Mackenzie, do you rent?
I actually own this home because I, had a GI Bill.
That's
Or not
great.
GI Bill, VA loan. But
That's great. I'm curious because that is a huge issue in our state right now.
yeah.
I had a question. I know you said that you recently registered as a Democrat.
hmm
Have you ever heard of Tim Jimenez, who was a Tooele County representative even 2 years ago? He's an environmental engineer
Okay.
by trade. Brilliant man, very conservative. But he actually has been on our show a couple times explaining the impact of environment and just EPA standards, and they're so ridiculous. First of all, Salt Lake County is in a bowl, which
Yep.
causes inversion in itself.
hmm
And he even said, if you got rid of every gasoline car, every single car in the state, we would still not pass an EPA standard.
hmm
And he was highly informative to our state level. And that was really interesting. Also, the fact that the Great Salt Lake absolutely needs water for the
Yeah.
benefit of humans. I
Yep.
mean, for our existence. So all these things, energy is excellent. And you drive a gas powered or diesel. Is the Rabbit a diesel or a gas?
It's gas.
You can
It's
get
not
it
a-
either
it's not a
or.
TDI.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
With you being a new Democrat, I got to know, what is your view right now on the Democrat Party and their behavior on the national stage regarding issues or anti-Trump issues? Like I brought up Trump to you tonight,
hmm
and you're very logical, and I appreciate that. So I just read you what I found online regarding this potential that he's been talking about. And I know he's big on childcare. And a lot of that's his daughter, who is a Democrat, I think. And she really, really believes in the childcare and helping families, working families. You seem very logical. So I'm curious.
Let's not pin him on that, asking him Trump. We want to know.
No, I'm saying it. You come across very logical, and it's refreshing.
We want to know, like, what, just for your sake of our listeners out here, what, when you're looking at Tooele and heck, you cover a big space.
Yeah, it's like the western edge of Salt Lake County. So Magna, parts of Magna, parts of Kearns.
And then I think all the way out to Wendover and south, right?
Wendover is not included, and neither is Grantsville.
But you're Tooele County, we consider rural. And then you've got busy. I mean, Magna's growing exponentially, and so is West Jordan, or you've got Harriman, right?
I
Eagle
think
Mountain
too. The western edge, literally, there's the mountain. It's like, and then here's all Tooele over here.
Okay, so what are so you brought up housing in that. Is there anything else you want to bring up about Tooele?
So besides, a lot of people just talk about environment in general, air quality. I'm interested to find out if it's not the cars, then what is it? Then what is causing it to be so bad? Because I don't believe it could organically be this bad all the time.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. I'm sure cars and industry and everything else has something to do with it, but it's that a billion years ago, a big thing called Lake Bonneville emptied in stages. And every time it emptied in a stage, it left what's called a cataract.
Okay.
So if you look down at the south end of Salt Lake Valley, you know how you have to drive uphill and then you drop into Lehigh? That's a cataract. That means the lake emptied and then stopped emptying. And all those big boulders stopped right there, and then sediment built on top of them. So that's why it's a bowl. And then you have the natural pressures coming from above the lake that causes a high pressure here and a geographical pressure to the south. And then, of course, on the east and west, you have mountains. Yeah. So anything you get will be trapped there. Yeah. Same thing over here. It's the same thing in the valley between the Stansberries and the Oakers. Yeah, we have a cataract to the south of us. It's just going to get trapped here no matter what. So unless we decide to go back to the Stone Ages, we're going to have that. Let me correct myself. we're in a new industrial revolution.
Yeah.
The new battery might be invented next week. We don't know.
Yeah.
And it might be implemented over the next 30 years. We don't know. That might fix it all. But as it stands now, I don't think we physically can't correct it unless you want to see everybody on life support, everybody on insulin, everybody that needs any kind of medical care that requires refrigeration, unless you want to see winter deaths, summer deaths, unless you want to see all of that explode.
Yeah. And I mean, I was watching a video today that was going like deep dive into solar. I think solar is a good I'd say mediary option, like intermediate. We have the ability to make it and make a lot of energy. For example, like the video is talking about how much corn we farm in the United States to convert into ethanol, what's in our cars, right? And it's like, oh, if we converted that whole, like all those acres into solar farms, we would have like more than enough energy to power the entire United States electrical grid.
Maybe, but what's the caloric cost to make the solar panels? What's the damage to the environment to make and house the solar panels
and replace? And once they're garbage, how do you bury them and not?
Well, here's the thing: is
we've got a huge solar farm just over the mountain. I see it every day at work, and it caused environmental damage to put it in.
Yeah.
Sure, so does everything. Like,
what do you think about nuclear?
Huh?
This county is fighting for an opportunity to be a nuclear site for the new, safe, and effective, less water using nuclear plant. Mm-hmm. And we so badly could use the energy, of course, and it can power the whole nation with doing very little damage to the environment. It's very clean. What are your thoughts on that?
You don't have to explain it to me. I was on nuclear submarines. They were, like I literally worked on the submarine that my dad was stationed on when he was in.
Really? Wow, now that's a cool story you should have led with.
Well, I mean, everything in its own time.
But that's cool.
Yeah.
I rode that's submarine out of Guam. So I mean, none of them blew up like I'm here. So I know how safe nuclear can be. I mean, in the intermediate when we are getting this stuff set up, because I mean, to me, the thing I want to see is not a lot of water usage to cool this type of reactor, like maybe a closed circuit system where it's like you just have a certain amount of water in it and it just repeats. I mean, that's what subs do. That you've got water that turns into steam, generates the power, and it circles again. Here we are. And we can do things like that. Or there's other cooling materials or oils that you can use that would do the same thing. Coolant, we do it in our cars all the time. But I mean, I'm all for nuclear. I've never been against nuclear. When you understand it, which I do, I qualified for submarines, which means like I did the whole packet and everything, and I did it in 28 days.
That's amazing.
So I get it. I get it on a basic principle level, and it's like, we can. If we haven't blown up any subs lately in the past 40 years, can we not do that? As a nuclear power plant. So I agree with you. But solar panels, a lot of the materials that it takes to make a solar panel are recyclable. You can recycle them, make another solar panel, and we can do it all over again. And like my point with solar panels is, yes, they degrade over time, but gasoline that we extract or oil that we extract out of the ground, we burn it and it's gone. That's it. It's a one and done versus solar panel. We'll get 25 years out of them before their efficiency dips to a point where it's like worth replacing. And I'm not saying that we do this all in one day, right? Like at some point I'm thinking that there'd be some kind of cycle where it's like we recycle a solar panel, make new solar panels, and then the ones that it replaced are coming back in to get recycled to be used again. I think that trying to make do with what we have and not waste materials. And so I'm thinking reusing versus throwing it away. Like I buy those meal prep containers. And when I worked at another place with a bunch of salespeople, they always threw them away. I always take them home and just wash them and use them again.
Yeah, I'm the
Because
same.
yeah, like what am I doing here? Like it's like I paid $8 or something for 30 of them, but it's like, I mean, why throw it away? It's still good until like it cracks, but it's like, sure. So I'm all for that, but I know we have to somehow meet the increasing energy needs that we have, especially with the data centers that, we didn't want. But we're all going to have to burden that on the electrical grid. So we're still going to have to generate more power regardless.
Well, and I'm curious of what your thoughts are. Texas did that, put a lot of innovation into solar and wind, but when you have winters like we do, Texas doesn't normally have, the overcast in winter like they have, but that we have that. And when the sun is blocked, we couldn't go without coal. I mean, we couldn't go without those things. And so what do you do in a state like ours that is seasonal? And our county's fighting for nuclear. So doing something smaller than solar panels, who pays for it? And is it put on public land? Like, how does that work?
We've got the acreage out here. That's not the hard part. We got a whole desert.
Right. But BLM owns that property.
Well, and that's who
so
they
the
got
federal
it from.
Government pays for the solar panels, or does the state
To
on
build
BLM?
To build the one by me, I'm not exactly sure. I think it was a private group that built it. It was, I want to say it's on is it a 200 or 300 footprint, 200 to 300 acre footprint. And it's right out there in Skull Valley. You can go see it. It's huge. It's 1.5 miles, 2 miles long, and it's on both sides of the freeway, and it's deep on both sides. And no, I agree with you. I do know that we can't commit to going whole solar. I think we need a mixed energy system. I think Germany's the best example of that. Germany made a move to make sure that BMWs will be built in India in 10 years. That's what Germany did by doing away with nuclear. But no, I agree with you. I don't think that would be a bad idea. And then you can have natural gas or coal that just sits on idle and provides enough to keep the parts moving until they need to peak.
Yeah. And there's still batteries too. We could store this energy somewhere. We do it all the time already. Our phones, we recharge them all the time.
That's the big thing.
And so battery, I'm not proposing, we just turn off all of our coal and all of our, fossil fuel energy production. I'm just saying that these are viable paths, in our lifetime. And that's my biggest thing going into this Senate thing is like, I'm not just planning for now, I'm not planning for reelection. I'm planning for, 20, 30 years in the future. Like we have to start putting things into motion now because we all know how slow all government works, where it's like, we need to start moving now. I mean, one of my bigger things is expanding public transportation to Tooele. The only way you guys can get from Tooele to Salt Lake County is by bus, and I think someone told me that I talked to in Tooele, it ends at like 7 p.m. or something like that. And it's like, I'm sure that there are people who live in Tooele. I mean, my ex-wife lives on the other side now, and she
on the other side, the dark side.
Yeah. But she lives over there, and it's like, when she works or when other people work, I know a lot of people come towards Salt Lake City. I used to work in Salt Lake City. So I know that's why the traffic's always bad going there in the morning and then bad coming away. It's because everyone's going there and they live over here.
80% of our populace commutes.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Tooele. There isn't a lot of big businesses that I think could really support, paying everyone who lives over there. So it's like people have to commute, and it's like, I'm not saying that everyone needs to take public transportation. I'm just saying it's a good option because a lot of people, again, are car broke because like you said, people are kind of forced. It's like, do I want to buy a crappy $1,200 car that I don't know if it's even going to last, or repairs are going to cost me more? Or because again, I don't think people are very, they don't know how to fix their own car. And they don't want to risk it. And I mean, I risk it all the time. I do it myself. And I'm not like a mechanic or anything. I just read the book. But it's like other people don't have like that option. So I'm really planning for these people who don't have all the options that I do. And it's like, think about people who don't have the tools, don't have the space to work on their own cars. And it's like, if you give them an opportunity to take public transportation somewhere, it's like that cuts down on their costs because they don't have to pay for a car and they don't have to pay for insurance. And, you know, they don't have to pay for parking. They don't have to do any of that stuff. And yeah, you kind of have like, you might have to walk more or you might have to bike more. But honestly, I'll say that, don't we all want to walk and bike more? Don't we all want to
No.
Need to? Yes.
I do.
Are you talking about Front Runner potentially coming out here? Because I think
I
that has a
would love it.
place.
I would
But
love it.
That's also got a big $1 billion price tag.
But
So are you
I'm
thinking
planning
just
for-
more full-time buses? And do we have the need?
Well, that's where you do, and that'd be when you're in the Senate doing impact study. What are we at in Tooele? If we had Tooele, Stansbury Park, Erda, we'll still throw Grantsville in there.
I mean, they did a study and they dropped the transit after that study. So they limited it because it didn't have a
I think
huge
it's we
need.
just don't have the population that would justify
yet.
the cost yet.
See, that's what I mean is yet, because I'm thinking the Olympics. Everyone's gonna hate when it comes to the Olympics because how bad traffic is going to be getting around. And I'm like, if we just had more ways for people to come and visit Salt Lake City and not have to get in a car and drive in a car with two people, it's like it's way easier. I'm from North Chicago. I've taken public transit over there all the time, and it's just so nice. I mean, it's like it's probably like 7 to 15 minutes between each train. It's like, oh, I missed that one. It's fine. 15 minutes later, I'm getting on another one. It's fine.
It's just the cost to use, I think.
Yeah.
Look, I agree with you, but
Yeah.
let's face it, Tooele's not going to get any Olympic events out this way.
But all the volunteers that are going to be working the Olympics are coming from here, and we need our roads.
Yeah,
ready.
some of them, but I don't. That's it. No, I agree with you. Do the study.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if like 42,000 people would justify that cost.
For me, it's more thinking about like how quickly is this entire area expanding? You know, because if you can't afford to live in Salt Lake County, people, you know, it's like you want to live in Salt Lake City. Okay, I can't live there, so I expand out, and you keep expanding out until you find something that you could afford, and eventually, you know, the way that I've seen it going, this whole place has exploded. Like even Magna, it's West Valley didn't have a lot of stuff. I mean, even the school my daughter goes to wasn't built there when I moved here. So all this stuff is new. And it's like people are still moving here in droves. You know, I think we're one of the highest states that are getting more influxes. And I don't think they're moving to St. George. I think they're moving to Salt Lake City or Salt Lake City adjacent. And it's more that, to me, it's more expensive to tackle this problem after all this stuff's already done versus preparing. Because I mean, we are becoming a central or like another. We are becoming, you know, to some people's chagrin, we are becoming a big city. You know, we are becoming a city that people think that we are. You know, you go to Chicago, you see how huge Chicago is. You know, you see Salt Lake City, and you say like, "Oh, I'm in downtown." It's like 4 blocks. That's what Salt Lake City is. But
that's the. I think you have to measure it by Costco standards.
Well, Tooele County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state.
It
has
is.
been, and it's only getting faster. But
It
we
is,
like
but-
slow, reasonable growth out here. The people out here don't want to be Salt Lake City in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
we
that's
pride ourselves on the rural community that we live in.
that will change if it keeps growing. That will just it will change, just
what
like
I'm saying.
Taylorsville changed. I have a friend of mine. Her grandma sold the last farm in Taylorsville.
I grew up in Taylorsville.
You wouldn't imagine, like a 5-acre farm. They got multi-millions per acre.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's what happens when you have the last farm. But
yeah,
so that's going to happen. But I'm just wondering, like timeline wise, I wonder what the study says the minimal number of residents would have to be before that would be cost effective to build. Because before that, you're taking a gamble that if it doesn't maintain that growth for whatever reason, you stand to collapse a system. You know what I'm saying? A bill where you're taking well, that'd be
Like
most
California,
of Tooele County's
26
whole budget.
billion?
And then Salt Lake County if it costs, it would be more than $1 billion to
Absolutely
lay a train around here. But if it costs that much, I mean, you're looking at and that's probably why they dropped it. And they'll probably restudy it again.
Oh, they dropped buses.
I
mean,
yeah,
how hard would it be to add bus routes if the public needed it?
that's a tough one. And if you did, that'd be cool. I know I would love to go on a train ride all the time, but because I'm, again, low IQ moron on the other side.
It'd be cool
of
if
the
a
mountain.
train went all the way to Wendover.
But
that people
That's what
could
I
drive
thought.
in. Wendover could help fund it because they profit from it.
Yeah.
We've thought about this in the county. It's all been thought, but the studies don't show it being at all even sustainable. You would have to charge so much money for a ticket that it really cuts out what it's intended to do, and that's provide transportation to maybe people who can't afford a vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, my idea is just, it's more about we're planning for future, because the use is going to only increase. And as usage increases, it's like, this is the same thing, chicken before the egg. Which do I give first? Because I mean, I've seen Tooele, and I'm curious to see how many bus stops there were, because, when I lived in the suburbs of Chicago, it's like if the bus stop is so far away that it's a 20-30 minute walk for you to get to the bus station, then people aren't going to use it, right? It has to be
has one.
It has to be relative to where the people live and where they're going.
Yeah, they aren't.
And
They're
that's-
all on Main Street.
And we're very
That's-
spread out.
Exactly. And that's the hard part, is like, okay, so if I have to get into a car to get to the bus station, then, did I defeat the purpose of the bus?
I can share something with you. As my neighbor uses, UTA has a system out here where people can call a UTA rideshare type thing, and they have a little mini bus that picks you up, and it's like $2 and takes you around town. And so their UTA has put that in, and I know
that for
a couple
seniors,
of my
or-
neighbors use it. I think it's for anybody.
I know that one of my friends, when he lived in Taylorsville, and he would, I think actually he would just walk to the train, and then take it to Draper, and then our building complex had a shuttle that would come pick him up. But I wonder if that, for me, it's more about the accessibility, because then it's like, okay, if everyone's calling, are they going to be able to maintain that system too? Like that design.
They come into our area, which is Stansbury Park,
Yeah.
and they get all their pickups, and they do house to house. They come right to their house. Now, I don't know if it's just for seniors, but I know that a few of my neighbors use the service, and I see the bus out there, and it seats about 20 people, and they just go stop to stop. And it's just a reserve type thing.
Yeah.
And I think that people pay. I know they pay.
Yeah.
But it's far cheaper than calling an Uber, and it does take them around the local county.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm curious if an idea like that, like a hybrid of that, taking people to the main place, you take a small bus that collects people in a neighborhood, drops them off at the bus stop, and then they get on the bigger bus and it takes you to Salt Lake City, something like that, where it's smaller. You have the accessibility. You don't need the car. I mean, they're talking about passing a bill to lower like the age for teens to drive, to get their license to like 15 and a half years old. And honestly, I'd say that I wouldn't even trust myself driving at 15 years old, unsupervised. And
what's the reason to drop it by half a year?
It's going from, you get your learner's permit, I think, at 14 and a half, and then get your license at 15 and a half.
But what's their reason?
The reason is to get kids to go to work. And I'm like, if we had better buses, people would just take the bus to work. That's what I used to do when I was young. I would take the bus from, my town, Waukegan, you can look it up, to Gurnee. And I mean, I could ride my bike there, but I'm riding a bike on a freeway or on a highway, either a highway or a freeway, whichever, or like a main street. And it would
Vehicle
take
fatalities is like the number one
So
cause of
it's-
death in teenagers. And
So it's getting them to
most days
work?
kids don't even want to get their license. Like they're not even interested in it. It's got a huge drop.
yeah.
I'm
weird to
just
start 'em
wondering because
younger.
Utah also has weird laws around working before you're 16.
Yeah.
So a lot of employers who even like Shake Shacks and things like that won't hire people under 16 because of the weird laws. And then at 16, it's still burdensome to hire someone.
Yeah.
It's at 18 when you can hire someone and it kind of flows.
Right. You
Prior
get
to
an actual
that,
40-hour work
There
week.
are ridiculous rules. They got to have a break every 7.5 seconds, and you got to wipe their nose from left to right. It's crazy. My girlfriend runs a handful of drink shops, and just the rules around it. And
Yeah.
so
That baffles me. Do you know what bill that is?
How insane is it?
Nicolene Peck did it, I think.
Okay, I was just with her today and we didn't discuss that at all.
But here's the crazy part. Utah on one, this is why I don't like government dealing with anything, because point to fact.
Yeah.
On one hand, the government will come out and they will, and then tell you to do something complicated with that hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so the governments need to just go away. I hope AI abolishes governments. I'm not kidding. I hope they do, because governments are the worst thing humanity's ever invented. The nuclear bomb doesn't even come close to rating what government's damage is.
He's an anarchist.
Very much so.
I mean, I agree with you in ways. I think that the government can do good things. I think there are a lot of people that aren't in there for the right reasons and aren't really addressing issues, because
I think the machine is flawed.
And our Constitution doesn't give government the power it is seized.
Not even about it's just the machine of government, because a government will set something up, and when it's failing, will sacrifice everyone around it to keep it going because it's the government's thing.
Mhm.
Everything it
And the
touches
government-
turns to crap.
Yeah, the government turns gold to shit. That's all it's ever done. That's all it will ever do. You can go back to the very first governments in Sumeria when they built the ziggurats and they were worshiping Baal. They were turning gold into shit. That's all they were doing
I
then.
think-
That's all they will be doing a million years from now, unless AI
The
abolishes it.
best thing our government has given us is our military. But then they don't take care of our military after the time, like properly.
Yeah.
That's not the best thing they've given us, because they built a military and they said, we better send it around everywhere and get a lot of young people
But I'm
killed.
saying the organization of the military, which constitutionally they're required to provide.
No, they're not. Constitutionally, they're required to provide a navy.
Okay.
Period.
Okay, which is a military. So you're getting into the weeds, but I'm saying that is something we can be proud of and what they've done, which is constitutionally what they're required to do. But when we get out into these social programs, we give this government so much power. Here we are, taxed cradle to grave, and we're only seeing insanity because they keep funding ridiculous programs they cannot sustain, and they're not paying for themselves. The government goes into business over and over again. Meanwhile, the taxpayer is getting we're taxed cradle to grave. We cannot get our head above water.
Yeah. And I mean, that's, for me, the taxes is part of it, but I mean, everything is taxing me, not just the government, everything's taxing me to death. I mean, even they're talking about like some of the features in your car soon will be a subscription. And I'm like, I already bought the car. Like, can I just have the car?
That's BMW.
So
That's
it's
Tesla.
that where it's like, oh, like if you want it might be BMW. It's like, if you want seat warmers, you have to pay a subscription. So like, you're telling me that first off, if you put the equipment,
Lexus.
if you put the equipment in the car, somebody's going to figure out within like 2 weeks how to just override it and get the seat warmers to work.
Yeah,
But-
if they have a smart friend that knows like you.
But then it's like, okay, so now it's like, at what point, because to me, it really feels like in some ways we are beholden to these corporations, these type of things that we rely on at this point because we have no other choice. I mean, when they talk about choice, I mean, I can't pick if I want Rocky Mountain Power to power my house. So whatever rate I pay is what I have to pay. So thanks for that. And same thing with the water and the sanitation. I can't choose anything else besides if I want to take my stuff to the dump myself, which like, I guess if it really bothered me, I would, but that's not really the biggest point. I'm just saying that we don't have a lot of choices to begin with. And it's like to have some, I know what you're going to say, but I think that the government actually helps curtail some of the also.
Can you name me a monopoly that exists without the government making it so?
A monopoly that exists without the government making it so.
That's a tough one. Do you know one?
There isn't one.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and if it's not federal, then
the
it's
only
local
time
government.
you have a monopoly is when the government forces that monopoly
By regulation. It's like they pull the ladder up and the government allows them to do that.
I guess I feel the other way where it's more that, I mean, look at Bell. Bell is one of the more.
Let's just talk about the argument you just made.
Yeah.
Utah Power, right? It's government monopoly, a government enforced monopoly.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean,
whatever
yeah.
waste management you have, it's a government forced monopoly. Day without government enforcement.
Sure. And I can concede to that point, but on my other point is that it gets so like, how would someone go about starting another power company in Utah? You know, like those are the type of things where it's like, you have no way as a person in, you know, the capitalist market to get in. You know, a lot of these businesses get so big that you can't actually compete fairly because there's so many ways that they can undercut you.
There would be a way, but you've got to go through government regulation to do it. Let's say a couple of
government would have to allow
ultra wealthy guys in Utah said, we're going to start a nuclear plant out in the West Desert.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if they did that today under our current system, they'd have to go before the government. They'd have to submit a plan. The plan that the government submitted to itself took, 15 years to get passed?
At least it's like 2 decades.
That's
and now it's been
government
fast-forwarded
to pass its own stuff that it wanted to do. Took 20 years. Imagine if a private industry came. Imagine if picture all of the best nuclear scientists that you know, right? Mm-hmm. They're all super wealthy. You know, they say, we're going to build a nuclear plant out in the West Desert. We're going to pull our water from Pilot Mountain. We're going to do this. We've got all this planned, everything. And we're going to ship that electricity into Salt Lake City.
The red tape
would
strangle them.
Yeah.
They would never get it done because the government is controlling a monopoly that they don't want their monopoly to have competition against it.
The state could be doing everything to get it. The federal government is saying, no, it's on BLM land. So no, or you need to meet these standards. And it's just a revolving regulative door.
Ma Bell was a government enforced monopoly until Ma Bell, I'm pretty sure, argued to have itself broken up.
Yeah. Yes. And I'd agree with you guys on those type of things. And that is true. I think really the part of the government that's failing to me is no one being involved and no one knowing what's going on. And I'm not saying that every person has to be an expert of every part of government, but you have to pick a certain lane and be really good at it and be very informed. I mean, I've seen some of those committee hearings and stuff like that at the Capitol. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
There's nobody there saying they're for or against it. The only people who show up are the big wealthy people who are going to benefit from making money off of it. And they're saying, I support this. It's like, yeah, because it's going straight into your pocket, dude. Like, so complete conflict of interest. And we even saw it at Salt Lake County, where the only person they had to come talk in support of closing them is the guy who would benefit to get it. But there's so many.
I'll make another argument for that.
So many revolving
Maybe
doors.
the government shouldn't be involved in that.
If
the government's not involved in restricting people living their lives, you don't have Walmart showing up to the government meeting saying, yes, we want more regulation. Our lawyers wrote it.
Well,
you don't have the pharmaceuticals showing up saying, yes, we want this restriction on your ability to get medication because then you got to come to us
Well,
for it.
Lobbyist is a
I've
big
got-
problem.
I got something for that too. I think that corporations are not people, and I don't think you should be entitled to any constitutional amendments or Bill of Rights. You are not a person. You don't deserve freedom of speech, and that's what they argue. They argue that you can speak with your dollars, and it's like you are a company. You are not a person. And so I agree that lobbying should be illegal. I think it's bullshit. I think think that,
I don't go that far. I'm a big gun owner.
sure.
And the thing that keeps the government from stepping on my natural right to defend myself is lobbyist groups.
I don't believe that at all.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think the NRA, the GOA, the Pistol Association of America, the Rifler Association of America, you don't think that they're the only thing that has stopped the government from restricting firearms?
I don't
I'd like
think
to
so.
think it's the people.
I happen
I
to know the GOA is the one that stopped the proposed tax, I think, that Obama was pushing through. He was going to restrict guns through taxing it. And then he turned around and tried laying the tax on ammo. And it was the Gun Owners of America that stopped him. The Gun Owners of America that argued it all the way up to the Supreme Court and beat it.
Sure.
So I'm not anti-lobbyist, but I do agree with you that corporations shouldn't carry a voice like that. But I also argue you could do away with that tomorrow and it wouldn't change a thing because corporations have other means to get that measured. They can go through the media because the media is owned by corporations.
Yeah.
They can go through direct purchasing of people to go stand in there. They just go to neighborhoods and say, you busy on Thursday? You want to make $500? It'd be cheaper than lobbyists if they did that, by the way. Now, what I think the best way to restrict that is to restrict the government from meddling in those games. That's the best way to restrict it. But seeing how we're not going to get that, the next best way is to wait for AI to come in and equal it all out. I know I keep saying that.
I'm with you. I think lobbying is one of the biggest problems we have. And I think that it does just really mess up. Just a minute. I'm with you on that. What I do think, though, is what you're getting at is the lack of interest in the regular population who doesn't even bother to vote. And I covered that earlier in the show is the Prop 4 and trying to repeal Prop 4. That was voted on by 6,000 people. 6,000 people, which really changed the face of our state, out of 3 million were bothered enough or educated enough or engaged enough to even give their voice. And that is a huge problem in this state, in this country. We need more people engaged. We need more people informed. And right now information is everywhere, but you don't know what's right, what's wrong. And the whole thing is a lot of people are trying to keep their head above water and don't even educate themselves on politics because they're so burned out.
Yeah.
Or then you get the opposite. I am sitting in those committee meetings because I am very interested in the vote or something that means something to me. And him and I are trying to just educate people. We want to give them as much information from the horse's mouth as possible.
Yeah.
And that's what's lacking in this country is people can't be bothered to even take something like voting serious.
Yeah.
It's an insane time.
Well, you recognize we don't educate the same, first of all.
Yeah.
But look at the system. They offer you, hey, do you want a shit sandwich or a giant douche?
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, but I think that it's like a multi-part problem as everything is because I don't really necessarily think they're not bothered. I think that a lot of people are unable to even divert that kind of energy. This is a lot of work. First, like doing the campaign with 2 kids, this is a lot of work and I do it all on my own. Like I'm not rich. Me and my dad and my sister, when we lived together, growing up, we were poor. We were poor as hell. My dad had to file bankruptcy after my mom left. And so, we worked hard and we've worked for everything we have. And for other people, it's hard to even think about what's to eat for dinner. What am I going to make for dinner? What am I going to do for this?
How do I afford groceries?
These bills. How am I going to pay for this? It's like they can't even fathom thinking about, and I mean, not to mention that the times when you're supposed to go speak to these things are right in the middle of the workday, 3:40 p.m. and whatever the morning one is, 10 a.m. or something. So it's so hard to even be able to have a voice in those meetings anyway. And I think that everything at this point has like just gotten like, because I understand the idea of lobbying and PACs and all that stuff. I get the premise, but it's gone too far. And it's just a bastardized version of what it should be, which is, hey, I can't go to these meetings. I would like to pay somebody to go. We as a neighborhood would like to collectively pay someone to go speak on our interests, right? That sounds good to me. That sounds great because, everyone can't do that, but someone could. But then it just goes too far where it's like, they're taking a bunch of money, they're pushing a lot of stuff just because it ends up getting the person who paid them paid, right?
Not always. Sometimes it's the only person that showed up. Next weekend, a friend of the show who is a lobbyist, Katie Adams Anderton, she's a lobbyist for the American Cancer Association. She's actually not a lobbyist. She is a lobbyist, but not paid as a lawyer. She used to be the Democrat chair for Utah County.
She's amazing.
But that is also, you got to remember, that's a part of lobbying.
I do free lobbying for law enforcement organizations at the Capitol.
So I think once you open up your mind to what that is, that word drops off. What you start recognizing is, and then you're like, well, how do we restrict corporations from running roughshod?
Yeah.
And I hope when you win, my voice is in your head that the only way to stop the wealthy from using the government as a tool to restrict the poor is to stop the government. That's been proven every time throughout history. Every time from the dawn of man, and it will be in the end, is if government is a weapon, it will be used as such.
Sure. And that's kind of where I'm getting at, where I'm like, I'm going to run is because I'm not these people. I'm not the people up there who, I see them, they don't work. They don't have a job. Like I'm literally working and it's like, okay, I'm working this. Now I got to go to this meeting and I got to, do all this other stuff. But it's like these people, I see them, they're all over the place. They're all over the country. They're doing all this other shit. And I'm like, dude, like, do you not work? Like, that's like kind of what I'm bringing is like a working person into government because like you're saying, I agree that if you are rich, first, I'd say that the election, the campaign, whatever, is totally tailored toward people who have a lot of money and don't have to work. That's the first thing that I can already tell. Second thing is, okay, so if it's already made for them, then that's who's going to end up there. And then that's who's making the laws. So like, you're correct. But I think that if the government was more representative of the people who actually live in it, I think things would be way better. And it wouldn't be getting, it'd be a happy medium between what you're saying, where it's like, at least to the government, it's like the people who are in it are the people who live there. They're not. I
100% agree with that.
Trust where somehow they're so out of touch with everyone else below. And I'm like, look, like we just need to come back down for a minute and just get real people in the government.
I'd like to say though, if you can't go up to those committee meetings, just calling your elected or sending an email to your elected, that is all registered at the Capitol and those numbers are getting counted. If you're for or against a certain bill, just getting people to pay attention to a bill or look for a bill that is important to them. Yep. It's not nothing to call your congressman or your House or your Senate. It's not nothing to send an email because those things are all counted. But if we don't engage, they can run roughshod. They don't know if you hate it or you don't because no one's reaching out to them. So they get to vote the way they think they should vote. And that's a real problem. It's a real problem in government. It's a real problem in everything in this country right now is people are not getting engaged on these issues.
And I'd say to that, I did, for the county child care centers, I emailed everybody. I emailed my county representative, don't really care for him. I emailed my congresswoman, Celeste Malloy. I emailed Governor Cox. I emailed Anthony Loubet, who's my House representative. I emailed all of them. Nobody responded.
Well,
so when they tell you to piss off or they don't even do anything, how do you even get them to do anything? Because you can't even get them in person. Like Celeste Malloy, I think was doing, I don't know if she did it already or she's going to do it, like a virtual town hall. It's like, no, you actually need to show up here and you need to stand in front of us. And
she did recently, actually.
Yeah. But the virtual one, I'm like, you need to come down here. Like, you need to actually be responsible for us. Are responsible to us, I'll say, because that's your job. That's really your job. Your job is to do what we ask you to do, and you need to be more on the ground about what those things are. And that's where, when you have, it'd be great if our representatives would actually email us back or call us back or anything like that, but they don't. Every time I've done it, I don't get a response, and it doesn't feel good. And that's why I have to go to these committee meetings and, I have to go and talk to them about stuff because I'm like, man, you guys don't even respond. And I know that, and I give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that, you got a lot of stuff going on, but how many times I got to write for you guys to respond at least once to me? That's the frustrating part when you're working with the government is what forces them to you that you have to go through this whole process. And by the time you probably do it, they're already up for re-election. So, okay, we do that.
Be fair. Celeste Malloy just recently had a town hall out here and it was well attended, but it was nasty. The people that showed up were not fans of hers. And I watched her stand and do a town hall and answer so many questions. And it felt like a dangerous place to be. It was lunatics. I don't understand. They're outwardly threatening. They're outwardly calling names. And it was so crazy, especially in our county, because a lot of them weren't even from our county. And she does them in St. George. She does one up here because it's center kind of to Davis and Salt Lake. And then Tooele County is all her. So
she did one in Salt Lake a few months back, 3 months ago.
Yeah.
But that's not,
but her town halls are a simple way. I know Chris Stewart before her used to do monthly town halls, and it's just a way for her to update everybody at the same time. You can submit a question. I think out of all the electeds, Celeste is probably the most informative and available, at least for this show. She's a great friend of this show. She's been very available. And for our community, we value the fact that she shows up and she's in with our mayors. She's in with our council. They all have her on speed dial. She answers. So I'm grateful for her representation. I do understand it, though. We're a political show and they do reach back to us. And I'm involved in politics as well. I was the chair of the party till just recently. So maybe I have a different experience. But there are normal people who may have an issue and they're not getting a response back. And I think that's troublesome. I do.
Yeah.
That gets people not to even respond anymore.
The thing that gets me, I think, is I don't know what bills are up in our state house this go around, but I read about one this morning that had I known about it, this is one I would have called my representatives on and said, you need to vote yes on this because voting no is just ridiculous and bullcrap. And so you can't, you would have to be an idiot savant without a job to know what bills are up. You would have to be. You'd have to be one of those guys who would, jump on the internet and research all the bills that are coming up and everything else. So the bill that got canceled was Trevor Lee put a bill forward to make it so that you could get Ivermectin without having to get a prescription. And I know Ivermectin became a no drug during COVID because retards had a wrestling match. That is why. The Democrat Party should burn in hell completely over what they did during COVID. what they did to us economically, what they did to us with all their crap. The Republicans don't get any fanfare from me there either. I am not a Republican. But you have to get a prescription to get it. The AMA has also put down that politically it's a no-no drug, so we're not going to give it out at all, even though it has little to zero side effects. It has no downside to it.
And it's been around for decades, and
But-
the creator got a Nobel Prize because its effectiveness.
But, you know, so it's essentially become a Schedule II drug without cause. And then the medical institutions have said, don't give out prescriptions for it. Now, granted, whether it or not, I don't care. It's like making Tamiflu bought over the counter illegal because it has less side effects than Tamiflu or Benadryl. You see what I'm saying? But these bills come up. This is a consequential bill. Ivermectin is a very useful medication for infections, for a lot of stuff. But how many people who it might have helped when prior to 2019 it did help people with certain viral infections, then they made it outlawed. How many people have been injured just by them making it a prescription only outlaw? Yes, you can go buy the veterinary style at your local cow ranch. I can go buy that. Well, I could have
Buy it in Mexico.
But that one didn't get passed, I'm pretty sure, because a pharmaceutical lobby
There was one there.
went in and talked to the people and got enough votes to make it not pass, right? But how many people knew about it was coming up? I found about it after it got canceled.
Me too.
And the news media, was in the corner touching themselves gingerly about it getting canceled because they don't like it either, because they bought into, because not only did they buy into that crap in 2019, but they have to have cognitive dissonance. Otherwise, they might suck Star Pistol.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
But that happened
You know what
today.
I'm saying?
And that's what
I'm saying
is
about
nobody
all
knows
the
about it
different
all.
laws that come down. You can't know about all of them until they affect you personally. And government works in nibbles, right? The regulations that Walmart uses to stop any growth of any competitor in mid-sized towns didn't all show up overnight. These are regulations that have grown over the last 40 years. They've grown just a little bit by a little bit, so you don't see it coming. You've heard of the book The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Upton Sinclair, he wrote that book in what, 1901?
No,
It was 18.
His knowledge is
1886 or sometime, whatever. He wrote that book. Upton Sinclair ran for president, big socialist, social democrat. He wanted that book he wrote the book leaning that it would shut down corporations. It was a political book. He'd never stepped foot in a slaughterhouse, not once. Books about slaughterhouse.
okay.
He wrote that book hoping to shut down private slaughterhouse or privately owned slaughterhouse practices to socialize them, because he wanted to be paid more. It was the same as it is now, mostly illegal, or back then just immigrants work there because they can be abused a little harder. What it did was you had two chicken companies really jumped on board. Tyson, or the company that became Tyson, and Imperial Chicken.
Yeah.
And they jumped on and said they had been paying to have their food tested every day. They'd been paying for that. And they said, "Ooh, wait a second. I got a plan." They went to the government and said, "Oh, you just got to keep us safe." They took this book that was supposed to help workers. You got to keep us safe. So now the government pays for the testing. See what I'm saying? Well, two things happen. One, Tyson and Imperial haven't had competition since. still the same names, the same chicken brands, and they own the market, right?
Yep.
And everyone, including any vegetarians we have in the audience, pays for the testing of that food.
Yeah.
With our taxpayer dollars. Do you want to read comments tonight?
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
I'm sure. You know what, Mackenzie, we could talk to you forever.
No,
And
you're a good chat, and you're a good
always
dude. And,
welcome to come on the
Thank you.
show. We would love to get to know more about other issues.
and I hope I break your brain and then make you an
We-
anarchist.
We don't mean to
And then you
challenge
win.
everything, and we don't mean to talk the
Yeah.
entire show. We're grateful that you have shared your time with us tonight. We have, hi, William. Thank you for tuning in. You wrote a lot about Tooele County.
Yeah, William is from Central America. He's from oh goodness.
Ecuador. Is it? No.
Yeah, I think it's Ecuador.
Is it?
And he looks like he Googled Tooele County.
Yeah. And I
and
love you
Utah.
for it, but I don't
Yeah.
know that we need to go
Well,
into all
we
that
don't need to go
because
into
we're
that.
way over on the time.
Yeah, we will read it after we're done. No, I Mackenzie, all your reasons are noble and fair. They are 100%. I don't fault you for that at all. I don't fault you for even looking at the government as a solution, because everyone else does. There's very few people like me that have seen the light. Have seen it but man, you're a good chat. You're a smart guy. I like that. I like your forward thinking. I do. I like all that.
Or do we not want to get into that?
He doesn't need to sit through all the comments. We'll read them
Ecuador.
after.
He just said, yeah, he's from
Yeah,
Ecuador.
he's from Ecuador.
He's a great guy. And he just says, hello, good evening. If people want to get a hold of you and reach out
Yeah,
or
do you
learn
have a
more about you,
website?
Yeah,
What
I
do
have
you
a
got?
website, voteformackenzie.org. I also have a phone number. I have an email that people can call or text or email, whatever. I can Mackenzie at voteformackenzie.org, MACKENZIE. Phone number 801-410-0340. People want to talk, I got time.
Perfect. And you're a data analyst.
Yep, data analyst. My official title is data analyst, IT programmer. I used to do IT before this.
So you went from nuclear Sparky. I've known a few nuclear sub electricians in my day. It's weird how I tend to run into them. I don't know why I do.
Yeah, I didn't work on the nuke part. I did cryptologic equipment, but
okay, so you did the one I mostly knew. He was an instructor in what was it? An electrical automation class that I went through. I'm an industrial mechanic,
Okay.
so I end up dealing with a lot of electricity. And he was an instructor there. And then another one I knew, I actually knew one years and years ago, but he was in the Army with me. He got out of the Navy and joined the Army. So it's vote for, spell out for Mackenzie.org. And the Mackenzie is MACKENZIE. And it will be in the show notes. I'll just put a hot link in there if you guys want to go to that. Yeah, got a nice, pretty picture of the mountains there coming around the lake.
That's
Got the big sea up on
I
there.
live right below it. When they turn it on for Cypress football games, like I just go out my back door and I see it.
Oh,
That's
I
nice.
wish
cool.
I could run up there.
Nice.
When I was first moved here, I was like, man, I want to run up to the sea. And then they said, oh, that's Kennecott. You can't go up there.
Yeah.
yeah, you could be shot.
That's what I
you know.
heard. That's what everyone says. I don't know if that happens often, but
No, they don't
no.
shoot you. You can be fined. I've never seen them shoot anyone.
We have a road that goes up to the mine, and you can look down on it or hear from the county. And we welcome you to the county. I hope you'll spend some time out here, get to know rural Utah a bit. It's a big deal for people out here that we don't become Salt Lake.
And
so
I totally get it.
that's good information.
I lived in rural Colorado when I was in 5th grade, and my closest neighbor was 7 miles down the street. So
Oh, we're not that rural.
That's
Yeah,
real
like
rural.
that's really rural. You know, it's like an hour and a half bus ride to get to school. So it was just a thing. But I mean,
Well, knocking on doors out here is kind of a distance. We can say
Yeah.
that, but in your area that you would represent, it's the majority of our population.
I think out here, I don't think it's a universal thought that everyone wants to not grow. I think that's actually a real minority thought. That's just the active
say it's a
people that,
loud
as Holly is
minority.
chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Holly is chair, she gets to hear
Yeah.
from them. I think
Well, they want
I
smart
think-
growth,
I
not
think every housewife out here wants to hear us get big enough to have a Costco.
yeah,
That's-
I mean,
Not this
honestly, I'm
household.
surprised you guys don't have one because
We're not big
I
enough.
lived when I lived in Illinois. You know, the closest Costco was in Pleasant Prairie, which is like in Wisconsin, right on the edge, or like the one in the like right outside of Chicago. Like I wouldn't call it Chicago, but whatever. But then I moved here, and I've got 5 within like 30 minutes. You know, I can go to downtown. I can go to. There's one in like West Jordan or South Jordan. There's the West Valley one. There's a Bountiful one. There's like
Mhm.
West Valley is 25 minutes away from here, and market research actually showed Costco didn't need to build one here because the zip codes that shop there are from here. People will drive. We're used to driving
Exactly.
30 minutes
That's
everywhere.
why the numbers and the data like doesn't make sense to me, because it's like just because they are doing this doesn't mean that they wouldn't do that anymore if it was closer.
I think
They want a population of
I
at least
think
250,000 people.
250,000 people before they build one.
We're like 76 entire county, right?
Yeah.
The largest county in
Yeah.
the state, 76,000.
Yeah, because
people.
I mean, but they just built another Costco here, like right off of Mountain View corridor. Like it just
yeah,
Mhm.
you guys have the
That's weird.
population density.
I just feel like it's too many, to be honest, too many Costcos. But I mean, I guess I don't complain that much, because then it's like anywhere. If I'm in Salt Lake County, there's a Costco, so I can fill up my gas. I can.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can't find a day or a time when that parking lot isn't.
Well, yeah, the
packed.
downtown one, that one
Right.
sucks. Like I don't go there.
That's
I don't
the-
go there unless like I feel like it. Like if you want to have a field trip to Costco and you want to, you know, see like miles of.
the Walmart downtown is
Oh yeah, I don't go to that
terrifying.
one.
I would never let your wife shop there with your kids. Like it,
Are you talking about Salt Lake?
it's when I lived downtown, that was a
the
terrifying
Salt Lake
visit.
Walmart. Oh yeah,
Yeah, on 13.
yeah. And I don't go to the West Valley Walmart either. I go to the one right next to me, or like sort of like off 5600 West. There's another one further south that's like, I guess like on the edge of like Kearns or South Jordan, whatever they want to be. That's the hardest part, is trying to figure out where you are at some point. But that Walmart is way better. But I try not to go to Walmart. I try to go to Winco. I like the employee owned aspect.
Oh yeah, and you have it right there on
Yep.
56.
And so I try to go there when I can. I mean, Magna has a neighborhood Walmart, and that's fine if I need like milk, and that's it. But
yeah, a
yeah,
little
like,
tiny
grocery
one. You
shopping-
still have your Arctic Circle?
Huh?
Do you have Arctic
Oh yeah,
Circle?
it's right in the same. It's right in front of it, actually.
Yeah, that's the Utah Arctic Circle fry
Yeah.
sauce. That's classic.
Man, I just wish we had a Dairy Queen closer, because I love the dipped cone, the cherry dipped cone.
Arctic Circle has the best ice cream. I love Dairy Queen too, but Arctic Circle is an OG
I was
in
gonna
this
say,
state.
when
And
you talk about ice cream, I don't even want to go there, because so my family originally is from Wisconsin, so we're from the dairy state. So like we take ice cream seriously. So it's like I'll call it soft serve, but the cherry dip cone at Arctic Circle, I don't think matches Dairy Queen's. It's just thicker, it's crunchier, it's just I think it's better. But the closest one is in West Jordan. I think I got to drive like 20 minutes. But you guys got some good
Aw.
ice cream though. Well, over here, I'm not sure what's good ice cream places in Tooele, because we have like Blacksmith ice cream in Sugar House, and Hondel's is pretty good in West Valley. But
our Macy's has a good soft serve at our local Macy's, which is pretty great. And they come in really big sizes if you want the mammoth cone. We used to have an Arctic Circle, but it disappeared after a while. They left.
Wow.
And that's used to be one of their major places here in the county for a lot of years. And then they were gone.
I think the only ice cream we have out here is Cold Stone.
American Burger.
Well, I think he's talking about an ice cream joint.
Oh, just
To
for
get ice cream, yeah.
I mean, Arctic
But,
Circle's good, but you
ice
just go there
cream-
for the ice cream though.
Yeah. I mean, we have all the same fast food restaurant ice creams,
Yeah.
but if you want just ice cream where it's kind of a little crafty, we've got Cold Stone.
And Dairy Delight is kind of like a Dairy Queen.
Yeah, it's open every fourth Thursday on
Yeah.
the solstice. So
So sad. Since COVID, they haven't been consistent on their hours.
COVID
and they
was
are
an
so
economic destroyer. We haven't felt the end of it either.
And we stayed open, or we got open fast. It had a blimp here in Tooele County. It was a few weeks of drama, but then we got open quickly, and it still just killed. Mind you, government made sure that Walmart was able to stay open.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mom and pop shops
yeah,
couldn't.
and that's like that. I think me and Jared are on the same side, but on a different way, because I just think that it's the corporations being able to get into government that is the problem, not like the government. You know what I mean? So I think.
So so we're on the opposite side of this in some way from what I normally am. So you're the person that welds the weapon is a problem. And my problem is that the government is a weapon.
I guess in my head, I think the corporation is the one shooting the weapon, and the government's trying to
the one welding it.
Yeah.
And I think the government is a weapon.
Because I think a lot of my my philosophy, I guess, comes from prevention and education, and that's how you best mitigate, the future problems. My fiance, she's a therapist, and so I get to hear that a lot. And it's like a lot about what started all of this, push the boulder down the hill versus the boulder, and kind of.
Oh, I'm big into that. Well, you heard me talk about the jungle.
Yep.
I mean, I'm big into studying historically how we got here, what drug us into the depths. And if the USA fails, it will be because of the government.
Sure. And then
I let me rephrase that. When the USA fails, because everything fails,
He's a ray of sunshine.
it will be because of the government. Just like every other civilizational fail has been because of the government.
Well, and immorals inside the government. Do you notice how many government in DC, members of the government, end up working for lobbyist firms?
of course, I mean, because I think that comes from the like association, and you have the experience, and the people, and so you're like locked into the industry. But I'll say that in a counterpoint, sometimes governments destroy other governments, like the Mayans, where
along the way, 100%.
they were
I mean, Rome destroyed Carthage.
Yeah, and I mean other places like the Mayans were way better off than Spaniards, and then Cortez came over and killed them. Oh yeah, it's from their memoirs. You should like from one of the.
I have read them.
Who said that
How many personnel did Cortez have?
So the book that I was reading that brought this up was because they attribute that the reason that the Spaniards took over the Mayans was because of it had to go through two different interpretations to get to a language that they could understand. And so one of the Mayans' practices was to humble themselves when introducing themselves. So it's like the lower you humble yourself, the higher you are. So
how many personnel?
He doesn't know, so just tell him.
He had less than 100 Spaniards.
Sure. But I mean, what does that mean?
But he had thousands of Mayan neighbors. The tribes around the Mexica, it's the Mayans' real name. No, that's the Aztecs' real name. The tribes around the Mayans that the Mayans had subjugated.
Sure.
They were the army. The Mayans may have been better off, but everyone else wasn't, because the blood god demanded sacrifice.
That's who they sacrificed. Was their slaves? Were
Was
they
their
slaves?
neighbors.
Well, sure. I'm saying that they in the messages that they've written that they've had preserved is like, these people aren't throwing their crap in the streets, like their cities are clean. and things like that. When they
Yeah. Oh, they were
throwing babies though into.
they were quite orderly.
I guess
they
what
were
I'm
human
saying is
sacrificing.
I'm not
people.
it's not to talk about like their belief system that do those things. I'm just saying that when other governments get involved, also can cause other governments to fail and
Yeah. Oh, no, 100%.
disease.
I mean, we can look no further than Libya today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can look at all of Africa if we want to. The way
How's Libya
Yeah.
doing?
I know how I'm doing. It's almost 9:30
Yeah.
and we're an hour and a half over.
Yeah, no, but it was a good chat. I'm glad you hung out. I like a good banter. Look, I know I sound like a crazy person. It's just I'm a person who dives into this stuff pretty deep. And I'm not very bright, but I recognize patterns okay.
Yeah.
And
he loves this country and he wants it. He loves his rights. And he's a free speech absolutist.
I love the country, and I'm pissed that the government is working as hard as it can to destroy it.
Well, and he's making us fund our own demise.
Yeah.
Like we don't have a choice. A gun to our head. We're paying taxes. We are funding our own demise in bad policy, in bad government, and bloated government, and yet all of us are controlled by it. I appreciate you running for office because most people can't even think about voting, let alone taking this on themselves. I too am running for office. I'm running for District 29. So we're kind of like same. You're in the Senate. I would be running for House. It is not for the weak in any wars and doing this back and forth banter. We're so grateful.
Republicans get it from me too. It's just she slaps me under the table when I harass them.
No, I don't.
Here's a question.
You've held your own fine.
Have you? Yeah, you've held your own real good. Have you received any support from the party at all? Have they?
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess this kind of segues into what Holly was asking anyway. Is nationally Democrats, that's the reason the way they act, the way they do things is the reason that I was always unaffiliated, is because I'm like, man, you guys like give me like such like I believe in a lot of your values, but you guys do not represent me well. So I just leave myself unaffiliated. Locally, Utah is a way better. I think it's one of our best kept secrets actually, is how many people actually feel and, align with Democrat views, but they're also very helpful. Like they, Jade, who's the state party leader, I can call him and text him and he just texts me back. And he's up till like 1 a.m. sometimes. And he'll text back. A lot of people in our Senate and in our House, they'll text me, they'll call me back if I have a question, things like that. So I get support. And a lot of people are very nice when I have went up to like the Utah Democrat office or whatever. Like when I'm up there, everyone's cool. So, I mean, they're way better than how the national level portrays them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see the same thing actually about
Democrats.
Republicans is I think Utah Republicans can be very, very approachable and very honest and like a good conversation versus just kind of screaming about culture wars at each other. So
I think it's the local versus the national.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a 10th Amendment guy. I wish that states, like I would be fine if Utah was making laws and Colorado and the feds were just like, all right, here's our job. We make sure you guys all trade with each other and you guys don't start, a two-way rifle range and that we don't get invaded. And that's our job. I don't like the national gets involved in all these different particular areas and becomes a cudgel that other states use against each other. I'm a Petri dish guy. I want to see New York play, try its socialism. It's going to fail, but they might find a couple things that succeed.
Yeah, as long as we don't have to bail them out.
And other states can copy that. And I want to see Wyoming try its, nobody even knows who the governor is. The governor's wife has forgotten his name because because it's a government that's not involved in your life much, and they're going to find successes that other states can copy and mold from. I want to see Idaho try its thing, in Texas and Florida and California, and all of them try their own little thing, because by that we get to test theories. But when the feds come down and say everything's this way, we don't get to test it. And so we all have to fail together.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, no matter which party, I think it'd be really good if the state, Utah, did a lot of thinking on its own versus following suit, because that's what it's really felt like, is these cascading effects of, let's just say, like, not to go into like a whole rabbit hole, but it's like Doge, right? And then we get to Salt Lake County trying to cut all these programs that cost very little, and they're not even looking at the biggest contributor of the budget, which is public safety. And I'm not against public safety, but I'm also thinking, how can we lessen the need for more prisons and more prosecutors and more, all this stuff? Because that really is a burden on the society, and you can't get rid of it. But it's like, we can find ways. They've done studies already.
Be careful what you ask for, because Texas found that out when W was governor. And that's to have executions within 2 years of
yeah.
of
And
conviction.
I'm more thinking like smaller crimes that you get in prison for. Not, you don't need to be killed for it, but it's
There's so many.
The Muslims have figured that out too.
well.
Yeah, but what he's saying is don't prosecute for minor things,
Well, I'm
and
saying
yet
you should prosecute. I'm just saying that let's go back even further to what caused you to need to commit the crime to begin with, right?
I don't love that. I want victims to get justice, and I don't. Yeah,
I'm-
you belong in
Yeah.
prison. I don't care how your
Hold on.
childhood was.
But
Yeah,
you're wondering how
Yeah,
we can dip into
I'm talking
childhood.
about, developmentally, how can we prevent people at the very beginning from committing crimes later? And it's not an exact science, but I mean, I agree with you that victims deserve justice. I think that people who break the law should have to, have a consequence. But the system, investing in the childcare in children early, mitigates all those things later in life. That's
You want me to throw out an argument? Okay. Universally, prior to the third wave feminist movement in the 70s, and women entering the workforce and kids becoming wards of the state and or daycare, it was a much better system of raising children, especially in the inner city Black communities. Maybe the government's desire for 2 tax incomes was a bad thing.
It got women out of the house and not raising their own
Well, it
children.
handed the kids over to the government to raise, and then they got 2 tax incomes.
I think again, there's a lot of factors that factor into that, because, for example, our grandparents, well, I guess not my grandparents. My grandpa served in Vietnam. My great grandpa, World War II era, right? They made it a big thing that it was a single house income, right? That was like a big thing. I mean, we look at houses back then to houses now, and it's no wonder you could afford that. You could afford college. I mean, I looked at my dad's college transcript, or he had it, like how much he paid, and it's not that much, right, to go to a school. But now it's thousands of dollars to do that. So there's a lot.
Pretty wild that when the government guarantees college loans run away. It's also pretty wild that when you dilute the workforce with more workers, the workers become less valuable. These are all arguments that's been had. Yep. Every economist has studied this. Thomas Sowell is the preacher on this.
I would like to add something. By the grace of God, my husband and I were able to have a baby after 8 years. And we decided that one of us is staying home. Regardless, one of us is staying home. And he was on first call for the first year. And I went to work. The thing is, we sacrificed. Yeah. We didn't have anything. We sold everything that wasn't nailed down just to keep our home. And just so one of us could stay home. And I'm grateful that I was able to take the turn and he found a job that could support us. But we didn't do vacations. We didn't do large things. We sacrificed. And I think it is doable even in this climate, because to me, when I'm with my baby, the short 5 years I have with them before they're in school in wards of the state, as he likes to say, that time is such a short period of time that I didn't want to miss any of it. And I'm terrible. Like I just said, I had all these fears of giving my child to somebody else and no one would love him like I would. I think it's still doable in this world. And I think it's almost shame when a woman stays home with her own child. And that is the way they have changed the media or culture, has almost made it like you're less than because you stayed home and were a parent. And that to me is a huge problem. And I don't think it's by mistake. The government gained something by taking our kids and putting them in schools or daycares and separating the family. The family is the one thing that is going to keep this country going. That family unit, family beliefs, however you believe, and raising your girls to believe it, or at least giving them that foundation, keeping your ideals alive in your traditions, but also that love and that connection that we see broken so many times in one parent households. The Black community used to have the strongest family unit in the nation.
They did.
And dividing them, and so many kids grew up without both parents in the home, or latchkey kids like I was in the 80s.
I think my shock's giving out on my chair.
They grow up and they don't have that many things: abuse, addiction, crime. All these things happen higher in single family households. Or
it's the number one predictor for prison.
Yeah.
It's the number one predictor for divorce.
Addiction.
It's the number one predictor for addiction. It's the number one predictor for being a victim of violence.
Child sex.
The Blacks in the 50s had the highest rate of being born to a mother and father who were married. The highest. And then welfare came along, and Larry Elder can speak real good to that. He was alive when they made that swap. In the inner cities, they actually sent people around and talked to the mothers while the husbands were at work, and kind of initiated that outcome. And where are they today? How's that going for them? How's that working out for society? They're 13% of the population. 6.5%, actually, honestly, about 3.5% of the population commits 50% of the violent crime. We've destroyed their society.
The government.
We have shut off their future.
Yeah, I think that's something that we need to focus on.
And stuff like that pisses me off.
Pisses
me off because they deserve every right to fight their way through it. And the government went out and shopped to get them onto the dole.
And our justice system isn't about black and white. It's rich and poor. So the poorer you are, the more likely you are to go to prison for even a smaller thing. And that's also a very big problem because we're trapped. Generational poverty. They're not growing. Well, and it's white people, it's black people.
And I mean, that's kind of where I end up on the capitalism structure, is that how
it's not capitalism. It is not.
Because how is all the wealth moving upward and away from us? And I mean, I agree that we're paying taxes, but still people up there keep getting richer and we keep doing nothing.
You want to see them climb even faster? Let's go socialist. And you'll watch them climb even faster because they'll control more levers.
We're all paying for is everything is going upward, and like we talked about, everyone in terms of shareholder capitalism are trying to extract every penny that they can out of us that's sustainable. I mean, I agree with you. COVID had economic is a travesty in the economy, but then I look at things like, okay, we see bird flu come through, right? Eggs shoot up in price. Okay, that's natural to me, right? That makes sense. Less chickens laying less eggs. We get it. The thing is, the price never goes down. It always stays the same. They say, and honestly, I feel like it's more of a thought experiment where it says, okay, all these chickens are gone. Now it's $30 for, 5 dozen eggs. And then, we see that people are still going to buy them. Okay, so we don't actually have to go back to what the price was before. So how did
That's crony
Yeah,
capitalism.
and that's
right
that's
there.
kind of what I'm getting at, where it's like if they can take it, if they find a way that they can take it, they will take it, and
That's
and
true. We're not seeing prices
just like
drop.
you said,
They're used to
it's
paying
always a
it.
nibble. It's always okay. Now eggs aren't $6; they're $7.
There's also the other thing you're forgetting about the argument is the Fazio has a monopoly on manufacturing and selling eggs. Fazio's a big egg plant right out here in Tooele. They have some, 50 million chickens. They hold the monopoly on it. Me and my buddies can't go and start an egg farm down the road right now, can we? Could I start supplying eggs for 10 cents less than them tomorrow?
You couldn't even get a license.
And is it because Fazio will show up with guns?
Nope, it's the government.
Well, I would say, people in Magna do it, where they have like their chickens that you're allowed to have. There's
yeah, but not to that level. Of
No. I
corporation.
can't sell the eggs that cheap. I can't
Sure.
come in and do a competitive market like
But
them. I
you
can't
can-
say if I could go and build the structure, right? I could go and build a big Quonset
Yep.
hut, 40-foot long Quonset hut, fill it with chickens, start picking through the eggs. I can't do that because the government will shut me down. Because the government, along with Fazio, actually I think it's a part of Imperial Chicken, honestly, got together years and years ago and wrote the regulation that they were already meeting.
Yeah, and so
Right.
They
Hold the
already have
letter
the
up.
lawyers. I can't come in and compete. I can't get together even with say a foreign company.
You'll be regulated
An
out of it.
Italian chicken egg producer can't come out here and set up a competitive market that would outcompete them. They can't. The government will shut that down because monopolies only exist with the force of that which holds the monopoly thereof.
The government decides what's a monopoly. Look what's going on with Netflix and Paramount and all of that. They're threatening, this isn't a good deal or this is a good deal. Butt out. Let people do it and let the free market decide if it's a good deal or not. I don't want to pay $25
What
for
if we
Netflix.
could shop for health insurance across state lines?
It would be a competitive market, just like car insurance and house insurance.
It's not the insurance companies that are stopping us.
Nope, it's the government. You're right. Borders on locations. Let's have this
Yes.
conversation with you.
No, I would dig to have more of
another
it.
time because you're very interesting. I'm
Yes,
sorry
you're
for
a
all
smart
this
guy.
extra
Yeah.
time.
You're young though. You haven't been jaded like myself.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
he's
say
an-
that I know in my heart it's very pessimistic, but you have to be optimistic to make anything better. You can't just can't drive your car
Thank
and
you.
say, "Oh, the check engine light's on. I'll just do nothing until it dies." Instead, you got to have some positivity and belief that you can change something.
I'm doing that.
I
I'm
absolutely agree with you.
I'm out here preaching the evils of government free to the world so they listen and stop.
No, you don't.
The government. I know,
He's
but-
waiting to sit back and watch it all burn, and he knows
No,
when it does.
I
I have an inkling of hope, and I'm going to keep
Here's-
putting it out into the
here's the
universe.
truth. Here's the truth. If the government outlasts the country, it will be burning. The country will burn. But if the country outlasts the government,
You mean the people of the country?
it'll be happy.
Well, either way, I'm pulling the levers I got, and that's all
No,
we can do.
I agree. I like it.
He's running for Senate.
Yep, Mackenzie Miller.
No pressure.
We're gonna have his contact info in the show notes. You can go there, click on the hot link, take you right to his webpage. If you want to ask him any questions, query him. Mackenzie, feel free to pull this down, pick it apart any way you want, and use it however you want.
You're a very delightful
You
Democrat.
did a good showing,
you.
and no, you did a good showing today.
Thank you for your service.
I beat the heck out of everyone. That's what I do. I got jaded a while back. I was one of those young guys, joined the army, marched along. I was happy, loved the government. Then I turned about 43, 42, 43, and I started seeing things different. And everyone has that moment. You saw things different. You're getting involved. I saw things different, and I went,
Yeah.
And so that's where we're all at.
Those of us who are doing the work and trying to make a change, we cannot let he's a very kind and honest person that's going to challenge you. And I love that about him. It can get exhausting because of his knowledge. It's exhausting.
I'm trying to make a change.
However, it's when you stop talking and you are nothing but criticizing and arguing that the conversation's over, right? We need to keep having conversations with people who disagree with us. And you're very good. I mean, I'm glad that
I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah,
everything you pointed out is 100% happening.
Yeah, and I think that
100%.
I think the points you guys make also, I actually like talking to people who I disagree with more than I do talking to people I agree with, because it stimulates something in me. It makes me think. It makes me kind of reshape my perception. And it's like, that's all everything ever is iterations on iterations of, okay, this one doesn't work, because we're not living in an ideal world. Okay, how can we make this work in the world that we have, in the environment that we live in our economic climate? There's so many avenues that things work in one way but won't work for us. But there's got to be ways that things work for everyone.
Well, and look, talking to people who challenge you make you only stronger, either in your beliefs, or they help you change your beliefs into something else, or dive more into research and figure it out. But that to me is the most beautiful part of this nation, is that we're neighbors. As the media wants us attacking each other. Yeah. They really do. And the best thing we could ever do to defeat the government and the media is to have conversations, or bully or freak out. It's have these conversations, and that gives us our power back and keeps us free.
Yep. Ooh, another thing about the lake, and I wonder this all the time, but
we have to go.
Do you think it's possible that we're still coming out of a mini ice age?
I'd probably say no.
Have you looked into the Civil War at all?
Not besides like the overview, but
well, when was Gettysburg fought? It's fought in August, right?
I couldn't even tell you.
You tell us.
Yeah.
I think it was July or August. And they wore full wool coats. Have you ever been to Gettysburg? Well, you're from Chicago.
Well, I mean, I was born in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, and I lived there.
Oh, wow.
Could you imagine wearing wool in July there, a full wool coat?
I mean, it'd be unbearably hot, but that's what they got.
Could you imagine marching across a humid field in a full wool coat?
Well, didn't they have to be prepared for winter anyway? Like,
not like that.
Okay.
But they were comfortable in that full wool coat.
How do you know they were comfortable?
Because they all kept wearing it.
That's
something to think about.
But
no, that's something to think about. No,
they
had linen
westward
shirts.
Expansion, right? Weren't they wearing wool out there in the desert? Out here in the prairies, it's like it's hot as hell.
It's almost like it might have
cold as hell in the desert.
Might have been a little bit colder back then. I often wonder that.
All right, we're ready.
And I wonder if we're not beating our head against the wall trying to fight something that nature is just doing.
TBD.
I don't know, but I appreciate you fighting. I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
You guys want to keep this going on?
All right, Mackenzie, thank you very much.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
bye, friend. Hope to see you soon.
All right. Okay,
guys,
William,
that was a long
we
show.
saw all your comments, William. I watched them roll by, but we were going through. But yeah, Utah has big natural gas coming out of the Uinta Basin. We've got a couple of refineries in North Salt Lake, but we do have the oil is pulled out of the ground there, the crude. And then here in Tooele County, so in the build up to World War I, they cut Tooele County and they started storing ammo here to distribute. And then during World War II was when Tooele Army Depot really got big, but then it had a drawback in a couple of them. And they've actually cut the Army Depot in half. You have the Tooele Army Depot, which still deals with munitions. And then you have on the north end, the Ninigret Peterson Army Depot or Industrial Depot, which took over the old Army Depot, and
Sign.
it's now they have lots of businesses there. They've got Detroit Diesel and chemical manufacturing
And our
and things
National
like that.
Guard is an auxiliary? Is that
What?
what we are? Like, what's our specialty for our National Guard? You
Our
said
National
all
Guard
of
is artillery.
them- Artillery. Okay.
Yes.
So today's date,
That's 2/11/26, right?
address.
Okay. But yeah.
Guys, come and see me tomorrow night at the Tooele Chamber of Commerce on Main Street, across from the Taco Time. Come and see me at 6:30 to 8:30. I will be there to repeal Prop 4. And if you want to leave your signature with us, we are at the deadline. So this is one of the last opportunities you'll have to sign. I encourage you to come. If you don't believe in it and you don't want to sign it, don't come. It's okay. I understand. We don't need to debate.
But anyways, yeah, Tooele is interesting. Now, the cool thing is Grantsville.
I love you
And I know
all.
I've mentioned this on the show, but Grantsville's got the good history. Man, good stuff.
Don't you have to work tomorrow?
Yep, I have to work at the Buck. I'm also on call tonight.
Oh my goodness.
A good friend of yours worked at Tyson, Ecuador. Yep. Wish Mackenzie the best. Thank you so much for the info, dude. William, I hope sometime you make it up here. We'll go out to the range, do some shooting, have some fun, and you'll see High Mountain Desert. Everyone have a wonderful night. Humana. Dennis Effenbeck. Well, we got more. Michael Rabani. I wonder who that handsome feller is. Great info. Dennis Effenbeck says, we live in a disposable world now. You guys had a great show. Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis.
It's sad to think about.
Everything is plastic.
It is, but everything is oil-based.
Right.
It's almost like the
Dependent
oil man
on oil.
got into everything, including the medication you take tonight. When you take like your aspirin or all that, there's oil involved in it. We've got a world built on that. We got to figure that one out.
That commercial they played during the Super Bowl last year about the woman in labor and going to the hospital and how she's like, oh, you don't like oil? Well, say goodbye to this. And everything in the hospital started to disappear because it was all oil-based. So when people really think about what is used in your plastic products, in medications, in just fuel and travel and getting items to you, it's so interwebbed. That's why we need another alternative. Yes, we need another alternative in case fossil fuels aren't forever. But until that comes, I don't like spending multiple billions of dollars to go to solar or wind when it's not effective or efficient at all times like oil is.
I think batteries is where we need to go.
But aren't they toxic and you can't
No,
recycle them?
I think learning the next stage of battery, the next stage
it's
of
replacement.
storage is the way to go. Because once we get that down, then we can match solar to what we need, and we can match wind to what we need, and nuclear and everything else. If we can get the storage of the calories.
I agree. You guys are the best. Thanks
Yep.
for your patience tonight. And go check out Mackenzie's website.
Yeah, he's a
It's
good
in the
dude.
show notes, and get to know him. And we will probably have
We
him on
will.
the show again.
I hope so. We
As
will
we
have
get
the
later
Republican
into-
challenger on, and Emily Buss, our incumbent. We're
Forward
working on
party.
rescheduling. She was supposed to be on tonight, but she had something come up. We are getting her rescheduled. I don't want to have this much argumentative with them, but when someone brings up good argument points that we can banter back and forth, that is a lot more fun for me. But I know that a lot of people won't want that. So most of the time when we have them on, they're just going to come on and say, hey, this is me. This is what I'm running. Bam. We'll do a quick 20 and out. If someone's willing to have banter, we'll have them. I need to figure out how we can initiate that before the show, if they want the debate style or if they just want to say, this is me and, vote for me, smile.
You guys, we
Shake
want
the
your
baby, kiss
engagement
the
to
hand.
get your comments. If you have questions for these candidates, please put them in the please put them in the comments. We want to, if I see comments that have questions for the candidate, I'm happy to ask them. I'll even interrupt a tirade if I have to get your question to the candidate. We love the candidates. We're grateful for anyone willing to throw their hat in. This is not something that is easy to do. Running for office is a lot and it's expensive. And getting in front of people, you need every opportunity. We're grateful that they're even considering our show. But we want you guys to reach out and engage, and we will try to get those questions out. Normally, you don't want to go an hour and a half over our deadline. That's not usually possible.
Especially when I get to wake up at 3 to go to work.
That was a really good back and forth. I think he was a great talk.
I would vote for that guy in a heartbeat just because he's earnest. He's a good dude.
There are good Democrats in the world, folks. I think Katie is one of them.
Mhm.
Reasonable. Yes, they have passion about issues that I myself don't agree with, but I also learned a lot tonight. And I appreciate that. I appreciate somebody who's willing to share, and I have the utmost respect for those who serve. And I think letting these two have their banter was awesome. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you didn't get to watch it all, tune in because we're on YouTube, Facebook. You can go back and watch it from the beginning and still leave your comments. We see everything. So please stay engaged with us and share with a friend if you like.
Yeah. Or you can listen to us on Spotify or whatever.
Or on iTunes as well and the podcast.
Yep. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. We'll see
Happy
you again
Valentine's
later.
Day. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for reminding me.